Hello, FPL managers. We are live, and this is Man City Fulham, the highlight of Game Week 11 for many. I'm joined by two industry professionals. I like to refer to you as Seb. I can see the raised eyebrow. You finished where last season?
389.
389. That is triple digits. Unbelievable. And Rich, how you doing? Presenter of the Surgery podcast, which is great. If you've not listened to that, check that out. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, really, really well. I'm really looking forward to this game. This is, like you said, it's the highlight of the game week.
It is, isn't it?
Hopefully.
And the highlight of your game week, Rich, and looking at the stadium behind you, I guess may have been in the championship. Where are you? Where are you at today? Where's that backdrop?
So that's the Medeski. I'm not actually here. It is a green screen, but yeah. I couldn't get tickets for today, but I mean, 2,000 fans were in the ground, so football's slowly coming back to normal.
Yeah, and you got the big W with the win there for Reading. So hopefully we'll see you in the Premier League again next season. That would be nice.
Yeah, certainly.
Seb, what's the big team news today? Because we know the headlines for Man City. Cancelo starts, Sterling starts, KDB starts. We've not spoken at all about Fulham. Is there any big... What's the Fulham lineup, first of all? Let's come to you for that, shall we?
Yeah, I'll go through that. So we've got Areola in goal, Robinson left back, Adebayo, Anderson, Aina and Reed, Loftus-Cheek, Anguissa, Reed and Lookman, and then Cavaliero up front. So no Mitrovic, who's on the bench, although that possibly isn't a surprise anymore, dare I say. And looking at the lineup here, possibly five at the back, which would make sense versus City. But I'm sure that could shift. There's a few players there who, centre mid or wing back. So we'll see how that lines up.
Yeah, look forward to seeing that. And Rich, the Man City news is big, isn't it? Sterling starts. We weren't sure if it'd be Sterling, Torres or Foden. It was always likely to be one of them, with Jesus and Mahrez looking nailed for this game week, both rested in the week. In terms of FPL assets, so many own KDB as captain. Us three have him. I think he's the second most popular choice in the game. Who have you got in the Man City lineup? Because you've been pretty big on City this season, haven't you?
I have, much to my detriment so far, anyway. But yeah, De Bruyne looks like he's my captain. He looks like he's going to be quite advanced today, so that's good news. Looking at that lineup, and then I've got Sterling, who I was relieved, I know you were as well, that he's actually starting today, and Foden. So I'm still quite confident about Foden off the bench. He can do something.
Yeah, no, I think if you own Sterling, you accept that and you think, okay, even if he gets 20 at the end, there's a good chance that he produces. Guys, what time codes are you on? Let's see, out of the three of us, who is ahead of the others. I'm on 47, 48, 49. Seb?
52, 53, 54.
Damn. Rich?
I'm still in the 30s, 35, 36.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, good stuff.
It's a dodgy signal at the Medeski Stadium today.
It is.
In that case, guys, in the chat, mirror to Seb if you wish. Seb, if you give us those time codes again.
113, 14, 15, 16.
Good stuff. Okay, and just so you know, if you are in the chat and you've got your eyes on the chat, do get your questions in. Let us know who you've got. Who's got a Man City captainer there in the chat? Maybe that's not a KDB. I'm thinking there'll be a few Mahrez captainers, might be a few Jesus captainers, maybe even a few Sterling captainers. But let us know in the chat. And also, we will be reacting to the live coverage that we are watching rather than the chat. So if there is a goal or there is a big drama, I will be perhaps seeing it on the chat, but I'll be throwing to Rich and throwing to Seb for an update rather than letting you know in advance, so you can react alongside with us. And I'm going to hopefully not see too many alerts for goals and assists in the chat. Good stuff.
Worth noting, we're talking about City lineups.
Yeah.
That Kyle Walker isn't in it, possibly for the first time in a while. Cancelo is right back rather than left back. Mendy retains the left back. John Stones over Laporte at centre back, which, if anything, just goes to show that nobody is safe. Even Kyle Walker is going to miss 1 in 5, 1 in 6, it seems.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Walker, I think I'm right in saying that he has started every Premier League game so far this season, I think.
Off the top of my head, have a little look.
Yeah, and Cancelo, we've been talking about all week. Will he be in? Won't he? We just thought it was either him or Mendy for that left back spot, and here he comes up in the right back spot, which of course is his most.
Sterling is in. Oh, saved. I'm not sure who played him through. I was just looking.
KDB.
Was it? Of course it was. Walker has started every match, by the way. But yeah, Sterling comes in from that left channel that we were talking about on Twitter earlier in the week. and it's not the best shot when you see it outside of his foot. It's not a difficult save.
Wow, he's not the most comfortable in his. He has scored a lot of goals on his
But
left
you
foot.
think that's that's his position, right? Coming in from that side.
Was it Mahrez?
Playing him through.
Played him through, yeah. Unless I'm really that far behind.
We've got Mauritius in the chat with KDB captain. We've got Salva with a Mahrez captain. We've got a Werner captain in Kian. Joshua's let us know there's a big chance saved. And yeah, I haven't seen the replay, but yeah, was it Mahrez, Rich? Did you get?
I think it was Mahrez. It looked like Mahrez to me anyway. But I think because I'm about 20 seconds behind.
What a start that would have been. 2 minutes in, the last is Fulham. I mean, if you're watching the game from a football point of view and forgetting about FPL, Fulham, if they concede early in this game, it could be you'd think it'd be curtains. Like Fulham need to hold out, but Scott Parker has been pretty vocal in the week about saying we're going to go to the Etihad and play. I don't think Fulham know any other way necessarily, but that's high risk. You can't match City man for man. I'm just seeing now it is Mahrez.
Yep. He's got to do better there. I mean, I say he's got to do better. Classic, you can't score every one of those, but not so much the end result, but the choice of going outside of foot quite weakly. It doesn't seem like the best shot choice.
Eyes on the screen. I think there may have been a chance. For Man City.
Got Kevin De Bruyne carrying it forward now with Sterling ahead of him. Sterling going in this time on his. Oh, Sterling has scored.
Come on!
That's where he wants it. This time coming in across from the right-hand side rather than the left. Easily slots it past the keeper with the side of his foot.
Oh, wow. We are 4 minutes into Man City Fulham. KDB already has an assist. So many of you have got him as your captain. But Sterling has scored.
Johnny, this is perfect for you.
This is massive for me.
I don't want to be that guy that moans about captaining the wrong one, so I'm just gonna say nothing.
He is definitely onside as well, just in case anyone's worrying about that.
He takes it well. We're just saying that his finish on the chance before wasn't great with the outside of his right. This is perhaps more natural to him on his right side, and he slots it, but it sort of comes just inside the post. And KDB plays a lovely little ball in, and Sterling picks it up on the edge of the 18. Couple of touches, and then about 12 yards out, just slots it past Areola.
It's a great finish.
It's a really good finish, isn't it? And
yeah.
KDB is playing in that role that we know he does play in this season, and we've seen already in the first 4 minutes, KDB playing alongside Gundogan and Rodri gives him that little bit more freedom to go forward. He's occupying. I've never really referred to KDB as a number 10. I don't like to use that term for a player that's often in the midfield three. Sometimes in previous roles we've seen him fairly deep, but he's playing almost like an out-and-out 10 now, isn't he, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, he always they had the three in the midfield, he always used to sit on the right-hand side of that three, so primarily he could occupy the right channel. Of course, he could drift, and he'd be allowed to dictate play from where he wanted, but on that right-hand side channel, he could go down, overlap any fullbacks, and put those balls across the box that he's so very good at. But like you say, I think for the first time since 3 seasons ago, when Guardiola had him playing almost the quarterback role, he's moved into a more central position and an advanced central position. Like you say, call it a 10 if you want. I think it gives him more freedom to pick up the ball where he wants and do what he wants with it.
It's a very similar role to what we're seeing of Bruno of late. Like Bruno's playing in a midfield three alongside, a Matic and a Fred, or a Fred and a McTominay. And we're seeing Bruno in support of the number 9 all the time, almost popping up in sort of second striker roles. And KDB is often getting into that position. And Rich, last season, KDB, I think I'm right in saying he was the top point scorer in FPL last season.
He was.
And this season, with his new position, could be the same again. I mean, who would your money be on for a top point scorer slot? Would it be same old suspects, or anyone new we should be thinking about?
That's such a difficult one. I mean, I guess I'm looking at the players I've got already. So I do still prefer De Bruyne to Bruno. But I mean, maybe going for both is the way, and I'm sure they're both going to be up there, especially if De Bruyne stays on penalties, because it doesn't look like Aguero's going to be back anytime soon, because he's the only real risk to De Bruyne's penalties. They're all great assets, and I think De Bruyne is a better captain asset this year than he was last year, because against these smaller teams, he's playing more advanced. Yeah, like we saw it obviously against Burnley, and it looks like we're seeing it today after 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Instead of that quarterback role that he's played, in previous seasons that Seb mentioned before, that was the most frustrating time for De Bruyne owners.
And even then, he was still, I'm thinking he was probably around sort of 10 million, but still getting a good amount of assists, but the goal threat just wasn't perhaps there. I've always thought for Belgium he plays in the role he's playing today for City, which I always like. Like he's fairly advanced for Belgium and links up really well there with Hazard and Lukaku. Man City, we're 8 minutes in, have had just keeping the ball really nicely. Fulham are deep and they are playing with that back five. The Fulham system, I could name you the starting 11 of probably all 20 Premier League teams, but I couldn't name you the systems. And I must admit, I was really surprised in the week when I was doing my research on Fulham to realise that Bobby Reid has been playing as a right wing back. I think I'm right, and he looks like he's playing there again today.
Looks where he is today, yeah.
This is a guy
he's one of the players when I was like, yeah, or at least playing off. I guess his work rate in that position works well for him. And maybe it means, getting further forward if they do want to break up pace and what have you. Better than putting someone who's a defensive right back in that position. Yeah,
I remember him at Cardiff always sort of popping up with the occasional goal, I think under Warnock. We've got some questions in about our captaincy. We've all got KDB captain. Rich and I do own Sterling, so we're very excited about that. We've got a question from Rubber Ducky. Come the end of the season, who will be the best value midfielder in the game? It's the best value, so we're thinking points per pounds per price, right? So I'm thinking the likes of, I don't know, I don't always necessarily look at the top tier there, but I wonder if a player like Jota could be the best value, a Grealish even, a Ziyech maybe, but we haven't seen enough in terms of goal threat there. What do you reckon, Rich? Who would...
The second you said it, I thought Jota. He was the one that sprang straight to mind. I mean, obviously he's not completely nailed, but I mean, he's in such form right now.
Yeah.
How can he lose his spot? And I think it's going to be Jota. I mean, I guess the other one would be Grealish. I just don't see Grealish matching Jota, and Grealish is more expensive than Jota.
Yeah. So what do you reckon?
So far, it's Grealish. Looking on the FPL site, just sorting by value. But obviously, we'd expect Jota to play more minutes than he has done maybe previously towards the end of the season. I guess it is an interesting one because the question was framed as by the end of the season. You would think by the end of the season, people are going to trend towards the price which they deserve. But if you start far away enough, obviously you won't make it. I'd happily go with Grealish. I've got Ward-Prowse up there at the moment as well, but I don't know if his returns are as sustainable.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Son's there as well, who's a more expensive player. If he's able to, keep getting 3 or 4 goals every now and again, maybe he holds on to that.
Yeah, Son is one that's kind of I completely forgot about because in recent weeks he's not had the headlines. Are you guys still on Son or Kane? Did you get rid of? Because I'm guessing you've owned one, if not both. Rich, I think I'm right in saying you still own Kane.
I've still got both.
You've still got both.
I've still got both. Yeah, I just couldn't find a midfielder that. It's not easy getting off of Son. The 2 hardest games are gone now. I just think this North London derby. I think Spurs could score 2 or 3 goals in it. I think it really does look like it. So I'm just going to hold for now. I'm a big fan of Kane. I'm not as fussed about Son. But he's just a bit of an awkward price. I can't get him up to Salah without doing something else. And, moving him down to someone like Grealish. I mean, maybe Grealish is better value, but I don't know. There's part of me that wants to hold Son and just see. Just
to say, we've just had Cancelo come in from the right-hand side and flash a shot over the bar with his left foot. It's a couple of times he's appeared probably underlapping rather than overlapping on that side, looking as dangerous as he does from the left, and the right back is probably his more natural position.
He does like to underlap, doesn't he, Seb? And we know Pep does like his fullbacks tucking in to the midfield. I mean,
he's on the ball again here. De Bruyne he's very much come inside. He's almost in the 10 position there with De Bruyne. De Bruyne has laid him through even. He's gone to the byline, putting it across, cleared for a corner. But the fact that in that build-up, he was level with Kevin De Bruyne, and they were just playing it between each other. I mean, Fulham aren't exactly forcing him backwards. He's got no one over his shoulders to worry about. But it just shows that he's a real threat. I know this week everyone was very down about him not playing, and then his replacement, Mendy, scored a goal. But as we said on here, probably every single week when we've considered it, if you own Cancelo, if you own probably even Mendy now, any Man City defender, 3 and 4 is probably the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I'm with that, and I was of that kind of mindset.
Ooh,
De Bruyne,
Mahrez lays up De Bruyne from an angle, and it's saved. I think it takes a deflection.
It's a good save by Areola at his near post if it does take a deflection. And remember, this is a keeper that's come from PSG, really well regarded keeper, and Fulham have done well to get him. He made a good save in the first 3 minutes to deny Sterling, and he's made a really good save again now. It's at his near post, and you expect him to save it, but Jordan Pickford lets that through.
Did
He's
that
had a good
deflect?
game today. I
I
shouldn't
think it
pick
did
him
take a
out.
deflection, yeah.
Yeah, look, tricky one.
Short corner from Man City, which they are doing time and again. I barely see them deliver straight into the box. I watched them in the week in the Champions League, and it was short corner after short corner. Cancelo puts a ball into the back stick. Diaz is wide, and it goes out for a goal kick. What do you reckon to the short corners, Seb? Is that something you've noticed? Because Pep's always, he's always been there, done that, but not necessarily all the time. Yet Man City just seems so reluctant to put it straight in. Is that because they've got sort of lack of height in the team to be winning the first ball?
I mean, you say that, but Laporte and Ruben Dias are both good
Yeah.
from set pieces. I wonder, Leeds
And
do a very
Rodri.
similar. Yeah, true. Leeds do a very similar thing for different reasons. We just do not convert from set pieces. I wonder, rather than, I think it was on here we discussed a few weeks ago, the conversion rate of corners falling considerably. The early 2000s, in the 90s, I think it was 6% of corners resulted in a goal, and then off the top of my head, since then it's been about 3%. Of course, if you're not putting it into the box, then those numbers are going to go down artificially anyway. But I think as a response to people not converting as much from corners and the rise of Pep Guardiola and the way he plays, I wonder if he's better suited to recycling the ball from a corner, or at least playing it short and finding a better angle, rather than slinging it in and probably losing possession. I think Pep would rather keep the ball.
Yeah. In terms of this game and sort of our predictions, the last thing Fulham needed was to concede an early goal. Knowing City are playing like they are, we saw 5 last week. They're looking finally sharp. Pep's been really vocal about the team needing to take their chances, and Sterling has been a prime example. He lost his place. He's now come into the team and he's scored, and these players are now motivated to potentially score more goals because Pep said no one's safe. Do we think this is going to be a rout today, Rich? Could we see 5 again?
I hope so. I mean, the reason I've gone so heavy on them, I think that says it all, that I'm optimistic. They could score 6, 7, 8 goals in any game, City.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that early goal helps a lot. I'm confident there's still going to be 5 or 6 in this for City. I could look very silly if this finishes 1-0, but I mean, I've gone all in on City, and this is why. And I mean, they've had some good chances already.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they haven't slowed up. I mean, they're happy to keep possession, and Fulham are pretty happy to let them have it. But they're still looking to create chances. It's not like they've started just walking around the back or anything.
Yeah. They do look very comfortable. I mean, I was surprised that the likes of John Stones and Gundogan are playing as many minutes as they have, but they're looking solid. And
Speaking of Gundogan, he's just gone over the bar. Would have been a Cancelo assist.
Cancelo is getting forward, isn't he, Seb?
Oh yes.
He's going to get another bandwagon, isn't he, Cancelo? I guess the fact he can play left, he's probably their best left back and option at right back.
Yeah, he is. And Walker was the one that we just thought was absolutely nailed. It just goes to show, as we've said earlier, you have to expect 3 and 4 starts with these Man City defenders. But they keep so much of the ball that they concede very few chances, this Man City team. I was looking at Ederson in terms of value, because he's the one defender we know will play every single game, right? I don't think he's had a save point all season. He hasn't made more than 3 saves. Yeah, like they don't concede shots. He doesn't make saves. So the best you'll ever get with Ederson is 6. You'll never get bonus points. You'll never get save points. You go for one of their defenders at the same price point, arguably cheaper, a few of them like Diaz and Cancelo, and there's so much more upside there with the attacking returns, but then the bonus too. John Stones is obviously getting a run of games. He is, I think, the cheapest of the Man City defenders that potentially starts. I think he's a sub 5 million.
4.8 off the top of my head.
I mean, 4.8.
He's if we think that he could be with a reckoning of 3 starts every 4. Now we don't know if he will be. That's the best value potentially there in the back line, unless you can afford the extra cash on a fullback that will get you attacking returns.
I think he's certainly the least likely to find consistent starts. The quotes recently from Guardiola suggested that he was playing based on form, but it sounds like Laporte is still his man long term. I think the first choice pairing is Laporte and Diaz. If they were playing Liverpool in the Champions League final tomorrow, it would be Laporte and Diaz, right?
Yeah, he struggled, Laporte. I think against Spurs he made a few mistakes, and off the back of that he's been rotated, and drop's probably not fair. But Rich, in terms of that back line at centre back, with Laporte coming out as he has, it I guess makes Diaz the most obvious pick. The kind of, if we're looking at 3 starts every 4, Diaz would be considered the most nailed from those centre back positions.
Yeah, I don't think they're worth the risk, the Man City defenders. I just think there's so many other options from other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're great if they start and if we know they're going to start. I just think the Chelsea guys, Lamptey, we can get them all at such a much cheaper price. I think I'd still only want to risk it with Cancelo just because you've got those potentially explosive attacking returns on top of the clean sheets. But I just don't personally. I just don't really fancy the defenders. I don't think we've got a lack of options that we need to risk that every week for defenders.
Yeah, and you look at some of the Chelsea defenders, the likes of Reece James or even Zuma, who's been getting goals. They're cheaper than the Man City defenders, and they're getting more points, arguably.
I think looking at Cancelo's history so far this season, admittedly he's only been benched once when he's been fit. He started the season injured, but he didn't come off the bench. I would make City not quite in there, trying to play Jesus in, but he gets shielded out. I would make an argument that if you did want to own a City player, I'm a big fan of Cancelo. You mentioned Lamptey and stuff. We actually probably can afford to have 5 playing defenders. If one of them's Cancelo and you've got a 4.0, 4.5 on the bench, I wouldn't hate them coming on for the game that Cancelo doesn't play. The thing that would probably annoy me more than anything is the reason I'm considering them is fixtures. If Cancelo ends up getting rested in, for example, Fulham or Burnley, maybe those are the easy points I was hoping for that he would miss out on. But if I can guarantee he's going to return, I wouldn't mind the few matches that he doesn't play.
Yeah. Guys, as we look ahead to the sort of game week ahead of us, because we're only on game 2, we've seen DCL return in game 1. We've got a couple of really tasty fixtures, not just for later today, but for the rest of the game week. Who are the standout players that we want to be on this game week? So I know there'll be loads of you in the chat. Let us know who you've got and who you've captained. But Bruno obviously goes to West Ham. Potentially Salah and Jota, Mane, they have a home fixture, which we know they like against Wolves that haven't looked great. What are the standout fixtures for you, Rich?
So outside of those ones, I think Vardy away at Sheffield United, I think it looks better than last week.
He's a Wednesday fan as well, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, he is. And I don't know if are there crowds back in Sheffield United? I'm not 100% sure, but I guess
probably
regardless,
Tier 3. I'm thinking most of the North is.
Yeah, I guess he'd want to wind them up even if there's no fans. So definitely Vardy. And we mentioned earlier Kane. He loves a North London derby. I can't see him blanking.
Yeah.
For me, Kane, fingers crossed. I think he could have a big week.
I think Harry Kane. I know. There's been talk about him being injured, which Mourinho said he'll be fine. We're likely to be fine. I think I've seen on social somewhere that his wife is expecting and could pop any day now. Now I'm not. Now I don't know what Harry Kane's done in the past. I think he may already have 2 daughters. I don't know if potentially he'd miss a game for that, but you just never know. So there is a slight doubt, I'd say, with Kane because of the injury chat and then because of this. But you're right.
North London derby, though.
And he's an Arsenal fan as a kid, wasn't he? We've all seen that picture of him in an Arsenal shirt. Seb, are we expecting Spurs to get attacking returns against Arsenal?
Arsenal have become quite defensive in the last few weeks. I don't see why anything would change here. Or more than defensive, it's maybe a lack of goal scoring that has forced them into being solid. Arteta can organise them. I think that's how they'll approach this game. I think Spurs are a better team at the moment. If anyone's going to score, you'd think Harry Kane. Son maybe getting most of his chances. He could absolutely score, but most of his chances on the break or in swift counter-attacks, which maybe won't be as available to them this weekend. So it's easy naming the big expensive option, isn't it, as the most likely scorer? But yeah, it's probably Harry Kane. Elsewhere.
Yeah, go on.
No, please.
Well, so many in the chat have said in terms of elsewhere, like Vardy is a big one and a popular choice. I think he may be 3rd or 4th most popular captaincy option this week. But elsewhere, Seb, my team Chelsea, a few have mentioned Werner. He had a rest in the week. If Giroud does start, that's a combination I've been really excited to see all season. Werner off Giroud is what Werner has had previously at Leipzig, right? That could really suit him.
I think we've mentioned it a couple of times talking about Abraham and how we'd rather see Giroud in that team. Giroud then goes and scores 4 in the week. Obviously, him scoring 4 is maybe not, I say it's not what he's in the team for, but he won a World Cup without scoring. Yeah. So it's literally not what he's always in the team for. But Eden Hazard himself said he was his favourite player to play with because of the chances and the space he created for him. I think it'll be the same for Timo. Timo's coming off the left unless there are injuries elsewhere. It looks like that's going to be his slot. We'll see what happens with Pulisic. I think it works better. I think Giroud will hold it up. Giroud will finish some of those chances maybe created by Reece James as well. We've talked about Abraham's conversion rate from those crosses. I think it's the better pick. I don't think he'll be consistently picked there. And Abraham is more mobile, and maybe against our defence, Leeds defence. We've spoken before about our defending and the man marking. Our defence recent weeks has been amazing, but it's the man marking. It just depends who they're up against. I wonder if a more mobile Tammy Abraham will be what Lampard goes with. But I'd prefer Giroud for Timo Werner, but I could see him getting points either way.
And Rich, you're heavily invested in Chelsea. I own Timo Werner, and I think, Seb, am I right in saying you don't have any Chelsea players?
I've got 2.
Oh, you've got Chilwell and
Hakim Ziyech.
Ah, you have got Ziyech still. Okay, so yeah, we've all.
So Ziyech might be leaving Salah soon. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, so I've only got the one, and you guys have got on a double and a triple. Cancelo with a shot from range blazes it over. Sorry, that was Rodri. I think he's about 30-40 yards out. He probably shouldn't be shooting from there. You don't see Rodri shoot much, but yeah, he has a go, and it's way wide. Rich, Chelsea, you've got triple Chelsea defence, which has worked really well for you in recent weeks, right?
Yeah.
You're about to face Leeds, who have more shots than anyone. How do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, there's not much I can do about it, really. I mean, that result, honestly, no result in that game later will shock me with Chelsea against Leeds. But I love the point that Seb made about playing Giroud up top, because there was a couple of crosses that Reece James got in the box that Tammy Abraham just completely wasted, and Giroud would have scored. There was at least 2. So I'd like to see Giroud for the fullbacks.
I'm going to come back to you on Chelsea defence, Seb. I think there's been some action in the City game.
We're just saying Cancelo's played it forward to Sterling. Is he going to... that might be a pen then. Sterling is twisting and turning in the box, looking for, he goes onto his left, and we know he's going to come back onto his right.
I can't watch this on delay.
Is it a pen, Seb? Are VAR going to look at that? Because my first reaction was a dive, but I've only had a glimpse.
Without sound, I'm not sure. I've got a replay here. He comes back onto his right, and that's a dive. He's getting booked for that.
Oh yeah.
A foot gets flashed out, and he goes over it, and there is no contact anywhere to be seen. Yes.
It looks very. I've just seen it live, and it looks very. He went down quite easily.
He's not been touched. It's clean air between.
No, Seb. I think that's going to get given. I'm keeping my eyes off the chat. Yeah, because the legs up in the air, and Sterling still makes contact with the foot on his shin. Now it's not enough to bring him down. Of course, it's a bit of a dive, but he's won the foul.
I've been very strong about saying that doesn't look it to me. I've not seen an angle that's shown a touch. Without the commentary, I've only got the visuals, but it really looked like there was no contact.
It looks like it's been given though. KDB has put the ball down. I'm on 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, it has been.
Fair enough.
Oh, so
KDB's over it.
KDB goal. This is.
Yeah, KDB scores.
Oh.
Get in!
Gianni, mate, you're going top 100k.
Oh my god, I might actually get out of the top 3 million, 4 million.
I'm coming in the top million.
What are our ranks? Right, I'll start.
Oh, mate.
I'm on 3.
Don't start this discussion.
I'm on 3.7 million. And I know you guys tuning in at home are tuning in to listen to 3 guys that know what they're talking about. And I promise you, we've all got good enough history on our side. But this season has been a nightmare for me. And it's not been great for many good managers. Like, I know Rich, your rank's not been amazing either. I'm on 3.7 million. Like, I can't catch a break this season. I looked at Seb sent me a link to sort of a luck rating to see where I could be if things had gone differently based on XG and stuff like that. And I was 1.2 million. So I really have had an unlucky season. But, swings and roundabouts, 38 game weeks, it will all balance out. And the only rank that matters is where you are. I'm buzzing. Sterling just got an assist and KDB a goal. That is amazing. So, Rich, what's your rank and how's it been in recent weeks?
My rank's been horrendous. I was 1.7 million before the stream started, and I'm now 1.3. So I love this stream. But yeah, no, not having a good season. But that's been because I've been relying on Man City, and I think that's been your problem as well, partly.
I went triple City early doors, and they just didn't produce. I got 1 attacking return from 3 starts on triple City.
Exactly. So I mean, we're obviously having a good half an hour or so here, but
we
paid the cost for this moment.
I've gone without Bruno because of Sterling, so I need some.
Same.
Yeah. Seb, what's your season looking like?
I'm similar to everyone else. I started pretty poorly after doing all right last year. Been climbing a bit. I've gone, I think when we started chatting, I was about 2.3 million or something. Climbed the last few weeks. I'm 498k today.
Take that.
Hopefully, you've got Calvert-Lewin and Kevin De Bruyne captain, so hopefully a little climb. A bit worried about Liverpool though. I've got Robertson, don't have Jota, don't have Salah. So I'd be happy to just hold around 500k this week.
What's your plan with Jota, Salah? Like you'll probably want one of them, I'm guessing.
I have. So I've got
Fulham
I've got Vardy, De Bruyne, Fernandes as sort of the big boys, I guess. I will likely do Vardy down and say Ziyech maybe up to Salah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I had to do Antonio to Bamford this week. I finally have Bamford.
Nice.
Just because of the injuries. Like the Antonio gamble didn't come off. It looked good. It was a risk. He got injured. He
Hamstring
keeps getting
again,
injured.
isn't it? I think he only made 45 minutes, and then Allaire came on, and yeah.
And
So,
he's been ruled out this week. They don't know how long. Even if he's back in a couple of weeks, I know I've made that move. It didn't work. It's time to get out of it. I'm open to him again in the future.
yeah.
But I needed someone at a similar price range, so just went for Bamford. That does mean I've burned a transfer though. So originally the plan was to hold it, have 2 free transfers to do, say for example, Vardy to Bamford or Watkins and Ziyech to Salah. So I'll either have to use 4 points for that or find another way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, 4 points for that. If you're going to bring in Salah to captain him, then you see the upside there is massive because they do, of course, have Fulham.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did last week. I did Kane to Vardy and Son to De Bruyne and captain De Bruyne. So that came out up.
Yeah. Guys in the chat, we've got some brilliant ranks. Rubber Ducky's on 880. I8 Try is on 31k. Blue Dot is on 71k. So we've got a couple in the top 100k. Well played. Like
Nice.
if you're the season it's been so far, if you're anywhere near the top 200-300k, you'd think that a top 10k finish is you've got a really good chance. Like I'm thinking now, top 10k for me is out the question, but I still think I can get into the top 100k, which is I know 10k is always seen as the benchmark, but top 100k is another one I've always set myself. I think I've finished out of it once in 9 seasons, so I have to just make the top 100k. What are your targets? Have they changed? Like Rich, with your rank, do you still see top 10?
Ooh.
John Stones, what are you doing?
I have no idea how that happened, but yeah, Edison is chasing a ball back to his own
John
goal.
Stones, that's how it happened. Watch the replay. In fact, Rich, you may even see it before us. So whoever sees it first, okay, Seb, I think you'll probably see a replay sooner than I will.
Ball down the line from I think Bobby Reed, and oh yeah, John Stones is just easily taking it, takes it off the striker, goes to pass it back to Edison without looking, who obviously has come for it, and he nearly just got straight past him.
I mean, Edison presumably, there's no fans in the stadium. Edison is about a metre from John Stones. Presumably he's talking, and somehow John Stones doesn't recognise the voice of his goalkeeper and
You'd think
kicks
so.
it back.
You'd think so.
No excuse for not hearing him, surely. There's no fans.
I thought it was the steward or something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess John Stones and Edison haven't played much together.
Wow.
I mean, they train together every day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've played together enough in the past. That's just one of those, I think,
John Stones, though, isn't it, Seb? That's one of those from John Stones. You don't see... I don't know. You don't see Van Dijk making that error, and yeah, we can't.
You say that, but you do.
He has made one, hasn't he?
You definitely be able to find clips of that. When you're playing that style, a high line, allowing the keeper to come, picking up possession, playing back to the keeper yourself. Those mistakes are going to happen. I think I was going to say it's if it happens more than once, but as you said, John Stones. But in isolation, it's a big error, but it's going to happen. You want to make sure they don't happen too often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, back to the ranks. Rich, top 10k, is that still... I personally think that's still very achievable, someone of your rank.
I mean, I've never been ranked this low at this point in the season, so I hope so.
Really? Have you not? It's quite common.
Sterling is in. Save. I think it was Morris who played him in. It was a nice little chance.
It's a good save, that.
It is a good save.
Hat-trick here.
I mean, there are definitely more points here. I'd be interested in seeing a heat map. Sterling has probably spent more time up front than Jesus has. In fact, I don't think I've seen Jesus that much.
I don't know, he does this, doesn't he? He does this a lot, Jesus, but then I don't know. I want to say, is he playing a Firmino type deep role? But he's not. He's just not getting the ball.
If it's his work off the ball, allowing Sterling to get in, then that's good play. But yes, he's the one not looking likely for points at the moment.
We're not selling Sterling after this. They've got West Brom at home in 2 games' time.
I know, yeah, and he'll be benched.
I
can't keep him for West Brom if he's going to be benched. I just can't do it. I don't know, if he gets a hat-trick, it would be very hard, but I do think I need even more than a second goal from him to keep him. Sterling's in the action again.
I think it's coming.
Okay.
You know who's impressed me today is Gundogan in that, dare I say, David Silva role.
Yeah, the number...
He's looked really, really good.
Also, Gundogan, Seb, I think he's probably like 5.5 million. Now, look, we're not going to get loads of attacking returns from him. But in terms of players in that price band, and it eats up a valuable Man City spot, arguably, he's starting week in, week out. He can be a threat from set pieces. He can be on free kicks, and he has taken pens in the past. I know KDB, when he's on the pitch, will take them. But he can be a threat, can't he, KDB?
I would say
5.5 million, I think that's what he's priced at.
I mean, I think for 5.5 million, you can probably find better, or you can squeeze it to, Jota's not that much more.
Yeah.
I think for me, Gundogan is almost one of those players that he's relevant to FPL without being relevant himself, because today, based on how he's playing today, he's allowing De Bruyne and Sterling to really shine. Yeah. If you just watch him for a minute or two, he's doing some great recycling work on the ball. He's always available. It's that David Silva role, which, we think maybe they've missed this season. We know Gundogan has tried to play that role a few times. He's doing a good job of it today. But in an FPL sense, if he's available and playing well, maybe it means the other assets are more free to show their stuff.
And it's against Fulham, isn't it, right? So we've got Gundogan and Rodri against Man United next week. Gundogan will be deeper, and he won't perhaps dictate the play so much. But against Fulham and against West Brom in a couple of weeks, we expect to see him, I guess that 10 yards further up the pitch, right?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, the whole team will be more advanced, you would think, because Fulham will allow that. So it certainly puts him in more dangerous areas.
Rich, have Fulham had a sniff? Because they're struggling to get out of the half as I watch at the moment. Ederson, I don't think, has made a save.
No, this is very comfortable for City here. I'm actually quite nervous now. We could be on for, anyone with City assets here could be on for some monster points.
Is it quite amazing that KDB's only owned by 25% of the game?
I think there's been a lot of stuff that's happened that's made that happen, as in Bruno. I think a lot of people got Bruno, and obviously they're not going to move Bruno on for KDB. Then the Villa game got suspended, which meant people were using their transfers on other stuff. I just think it's been a crazy scenario that's meant he's not higher owned than he is.
Yeah. So
it just feels like a massive opportunity this week. It was last week as well. If he can really haul here at this ownership, because those of us who's captained him, we've got him at 200% effective ownership, and he's at 52% at the moment. So this has huge potential, possibly a bit like Salah next week.
Yeah, we are going to see a lot of people looking to bring Sterling and KDB in, even if they don't do anything now, right? Seb, with the fixtures City have got, if you're not on Man City, then they're going to be the two everyone's looking at, even if it stayed 2-0.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Was it 23% on De Bruyne at the moment? That's only going to go up, I think. Even before this fixture, people knew they wanted him. They were possibly just moving funds and moving squads around to be able to bring him in. This is going to accelerate that. And like you say, if Sterling adds more points to this, even though we know, Sterling hasn't been people's favourite pick so far, points mean transfers in. We say it every single week. If you score goals, if you score points, someone's going to look to bring you in, whether it's because they've planned it, whether it's because they've just got a perfect Sterling-shaped hole in their squad. He's not going to lose owners this week. Put it that way.
Sterling, yeah,
go on, Rich.
He's 4% ownership, Sterling, and his effective ownership at my rank's 2%. So it's not actually hurting people that don't own him.
Yeah, it's not. We often see this sort of FPL community bubble, don't we? And because Sterling, there's quite a few in the community that have him or have had him. By the way, Toby sold Sterling and Cancelo yesterday.
Oh no!
Brilliant. He did it to buy KDB, and he needed to go. His plan was always Sterling to KDB to captain KDB for this fixture, so he's happy enough there. But he'll see it as I'm the world's most unluckiest manager. Please.
I think Sterling to KDB is a fair enough move. We talk about sideways moves sometimes, but on the evidence so far of this season, if you want to own a Man City asset and you want to captain them, that's the important thing. You probably need to have De Bruyne for that.
What was funny about Toby's moves were I'm loving this. He had Sterling price fall, and he had a KDB price rise, so he couldn't make the move like for like. So he had to get rid of someone else to make the funds, which was Cancelo down to Reece James. But Cancelo, look, he only bought him in a couple of weeks ago. I'm kind of the thought, if you're bringing a Man City defender a bit like Foden, you have to just ride the wave, and you've got to expect they're not going to start every game. I know we've spoken about that.
Yeah, it was a big wave last week, though. Did Toby captain Sterling last week?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay, dodge that.
No,
because I didn't. It was horrible.
He's had double-digit returns from every captain so far this season. His captain points have been insane.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Actually.
He posted it on Twitter the other day, and it was just like a sea of green. And I think he's had something like 180 points compared to my 110 or something from captaincy. Like, it's been levels apart. So
That's arguably one of the big reasons that he's. Last I saw, he was 100, 200k or something. So that's probably one of the big reasons he's got himself up there. Good choices with the captain.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive thing in FPL, isn't it? You get your captains right and you're halfway there, which is why a couple of weeks ago I was suggesting to you, Seb, if I could change one thing about FPL, I'll get rid of captaincy, because I was having a bad week with Werner not hitting a barn door. But of course, it's part of the game and it's a big part. Stephen said in Gameweek 11 captaincy for live teams, Fernandes is on 14%, KDB on 13%, and Calvert-Lewin was the third most popular pick at 11. Stephen, let us know what Vardy is, because I'd expect him to be very close to that. But if they're the three you're saying, then yeah, it's Bruno top, then KDB, then DCL. I still really struggle with the fact that KDB is only owned by 23%. Only 13% have captained him. He's playing Fulham. He hauled last week. And he's playing more advanced, and he's on pens. Why is not everyone on KDB?
I think. Oh no, after you, please.
No, I was just going to say, I think KDB's been very unlucky with his points recently. I mean, against Spurs, if it wasn't for Jesus blocking a shot going in on the line, against Liverpool, he missed a penalty.
Last week at the post in the last minute.
Exactly. So he could have had double digits the last 4 weeks, but he's only had double digits once because of, like, I guess it's a little bit of luck. Whereas Bruno's not been lucky, but I feel like he's been on the other end of it. You know, Bruno could have had a missed penalty, for example. So I think just the point. Sometimes the points just speak, and people look at the points and not what's behind it. So
I think that's fair. We were talking about Sterling a moment ago and how, you know, points mean people will bring those players in. Everyone has known these City's fixtures are coming. Everyone knows De Bruyne is a good player. You know, possibly the best or second best in FPL on form. So people will want him, but I think the fact that, as Rich said there, his luck maybe hasn't quite come in means that hasn't been accelerated. So people have been happy to either go for Fernandes first or instead, or take their time. You know, no one's been taking -4s for him maybe. Yeah. Looking around some of my mini leagues, when I made the move to De Bruyne and Vardy last week, I expected a lot of people to be doing similar things, and almost everyone still had Kane and Son. And I think that's the thing. We all had Kane and Son.
Yeah.
And it was how quickly or how able were you to move that to De Bruyne? And I'm not saying Kane and Son aren't still a good choice, but that was the obvious move. If, you know, in terms of funds, ball in from Cancelo just cleared away there, but I thought it was about to be tapped in. That was the obvious move in terms of funds, though, and in terms of form.
Yeah. And
I think maybe people are still planning on that, but because De Bruyne hasn't gone and scored a hat-trick, they haven't rushed into it. Maybe after this week, we're going to see De Bruyne go from 23% to 36% or something.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a huge amount jumping on KDB because at least we know he's the only one of the outfield attackers that just we don't think will suffer from Pep Roulette. And when you look at last festive period, sort of December, early January, Sterling missed 1 game, KDB missed no games. He played week in, week out. So you expect that he'll get arrested in the Champions League this week as well, because they're already through, which is Pep's been doing in recent weeks with KDB. I made the Son to KDB move last week, and I don't have Kane or Son. We spoke earlier, Rich, you've still got both. Seb, in terms of the Tottenham assets, Kane and Son, are you on either of them at the moment? Did you get rid of one or
both?
You got
both
rid of
gone. Both went last week for De Bruyne and Vardy in a -4.
Yeah, okay. And your move this week was Bamford in for
Antonio.
Of course, Antonio.
Which wasn't planned really. I wanted to hold it this week, so then I had 2 free transfers to get Salah. But with Grealish 99% not playing this week,
yeah,
I would have had to then. I'm going to be getting Eiling in off the bench for him, so I'm going to have Bamford and Eiling versus Chelsea. Otherwise, I was down to Bissouma and Kilman, so I thought I needed to spend that transfer to get a player playing in, and I'm happy to hold Bamford, for the medium term, and then I'll work out Salah, this week.
Yeah. At half time, guys, we're going to be in 5 minutes' time. We're going to be speaking about Villa and our thoughts about their players and fixtures. Rich, what were your moves this week? What did you go with?
Most boring move ever. I moved Fraser Forster to Johnston, and I've rolled. So I've got 2 free transfers and a bit of money in the bank.
And you've now got 2 goalkeepers, but presumably Martinez was your other keeper.
Yes, yeah. So
that's a good move. That's a good move.
Yeah, they rotate quite well. And the only thing I didn't like about it is it stops me moving Sterling straight onto Salah, because I'm using a bit of extra money, like that $500,000 extra. But I just feel like I don't have to worry about goalkeepers anymore. If there's another postponement, or even the game could still go ahead, but a goalkeeper could get COVID. So I'm just I'm playing it very safe.
When we
Got
use
two,
our...
got two goalkeepers from the same city though now, haven't you? So if Birmingham gets locked down.
I hadn't thought about that.
Don't think about that.
It's already
for Meslier.
we can go too far with COVID planning this year. If it happens, it happens.
It's already a tier 3 though, Birmingham. You never know. I guess when we all do eventually use our second wild card, or if you've still got your first one, we're probably all going to be considering 2 goalkeepers, aren't we? One, because there's going to be loads of double game weeks and we're thinking, great, we can maximise that on if our keeper's got a double game week. But 2, just if the case there are more postponements. Seb, is that something you'd consider, 2 playing keepers?
At the moment, I have Guaita, who has done precisely nothing despite incredible fixtures. Fortunately, Martinez has probably underperformed as well, so it's not been too bad.
Yeah.
And then I've got Steer on the bench, which I think, from early in the season, he was a popular second choice pick, and he's still that sat there for me. So I don't have my wild card either. So I'm just gonna, until Crystal Palace miss a match, I guess I'm gonna hold on to that for now. Guaita he's 5.0 actually, so I've got some money there if I wanna move him at some point. But I'm content. Goalkeeper transfers are a rare thing.
Yeah, they're not the sexiest moves. I've got 10 playing this week because I've left Martinez in my team and my bench keeper's Fraser Forster. So yeah, and I'll be going without a goalkeeper this week. My moves were, I sold Grealish, and we'll talk about Villa assets in a couple of minutes. But I sold him for Jota, and I genuinely think in the next 2 fixtures, look, in the next 4 or 5 fixtures, who knows? But in the next 2 fixtures, Jota has Wolves and Fulham, and Grealish has no one and Wolves away, which is a tricky fixture for Villa. So I'm very happy with Jota against his old club today. Tomorrow, I think they're playing. And then my other move was I finally upgraded my back line. I wanted to get rid of Mitchell. I've got rid of Kilman instead because I was 0.1 short of selling Mitchell to Reece James, and I've gone Kilman to Reece James instead. Kilman could still start a few games, but we just don't know if Wolves will revert to back 5, knowing they're playing Liverpool. But if Nuno does stick with the back 4, then Kilman misses out, and they've not got great fixtures. And
Sterling in again. He's taken a shot. It's been deflected over the bar, but. And
was that,
moments
who
earlier
put him
as
in?
well.
Was that That wasn't Cancelo that put him in, was it, Seb? Through the middle?
Yeah, I think it was Mahrez.
Was it Mahrez? Through the middle it was?
Oh no, is that Rodri?
Luckily, I'm delayed.
Oh, it's Rodri.
Yeah, it's Rodri.
It was Rodri, yeah.
I thought, according to my eye, Cancelo and Rodri look quite similar, and I was thinking, is that Cancelo in the number 10 role again?
Is Mahrez and Cancelo keep occupying similar positions, so I keep having to check who's got the gloves on.
This is mad. I'm checking how many shots Sterling's
when it's
had.
20 degrees outside. Mahrez in gloves. It's half the season he wears gloves.
If it works for him. Oh, speaking of which, Sterling just put a ball across, which was arriving at Mahrez, but a defender got there first, went back to Bruyne.
Just looking at the stats, Sterling's missed 2 big chances, and he's still on a haul.
I guess the one we've just seen would have counted as a big chance, and then the one in the first 3-4 minutes.
Yeah,
the one in the first 3-4 minutes was definitely a big chance. He has to be tucking that away. But then he was really clinical with his finish. So I guess Pep will be happy with Sterling, Seb.
I mean, yeah, Pep has come out and said goals mean you keep your place, right? When Mahrez scored last week, when I forget who it was in previous weeks, but he's mentioned it twice now. Well, Sterling has scored and won a penalty today and got chances to score more. I think he'll get more chances in the second half. So Man United next week, I think you probably play a very similar lineup.
Yeah.
This is probably close to their strongest team. Maybe Laporte comes in, but if he's out of form, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, and remember that Champions League game in the week, Man City can rotate heavily. It means nothing to them. I think they've already qualified top. So expect a very similar 11, as Seb says, next time round in the Premier League.
Half-time here, by the way.
Half-time whistle's gone. So 2-0 City. Rich, Mahrez was quiet in that first half. There's quite a few in the chat that have captained him. There's a few, I know, as captained him, there'll be a few nervous managers around.
He's looked a lot more creative, which surprised me because in recent weeks he's been really selfish, really greedy, and I think he's created at least 2 or 3 pretty good chances this first half.
Created 2 big chances on the stats here with 3 key passes. So exactly what you said.
So okay. So perhaps not looking quiet, but in terms of points, we're thinking it's hopefully a matter of time. 2-0 City. They have been so dominant. Fulham, I don't think Ederson's made a save. I don't think they've had a shot on target. So it's been very one-sided, perhaps as we expected. The penalty we think was very soft. It'd be interesting to see what the managers and say post-match and the pundits say at half-time. I think there was a little bit of contact, and it's just a perfect case of how to win a foul. And Sterling's very good at that.
I mean, it didn't look like, based on what I was seeing, it looked like they hardly checked it on VAR. So I think I was wrong. Just when I saw it, and even on the replay, I just couldn't see where the touch came from. And without a touch, it really looks like he buys it. But as you say, if he gets a touch, then fair enough. We've discussed this probably every week. You go down, you win a penalty, you score a goal, you win the game. It's your job.
Yeah, we are seeing loads of penalties. It's a common theme. Every time we do a Scoutcast match day, we seem to have at least one penalty in the game. Rich, I want to turn our attention to, because loads of you are tuning in. Thank you for joining us. I know many of you would have been watching the game and you tune in for this 15-minute period. So I want to turn our attention to Aston Villa, what we've done with Villa assets, and also, I would just want to look ahead to the rest of the game week. So we're going to be touching on a few of the other players and fixtures we like. So just a couple of minutes on Villa. Obviously, loads of us have got Villa assets. They're very likely to play next game week. The Newcastle-Villa postponement, I think, will be later in the season. I think the rearrangement will come later. We don't know anything yet, but these are two teams that aren't playing in Europe. It'd be very easy to schedule it later in the year. There has been talk, according to the Echo in Newcastle, I think it was. I read a report late last night that the West Brom Newcastle fixture could even be seen as in doubt for next game week. So for game week 12, is next game week game week 12? So game week 12, that could be in doubt. What with COVID, with what's happened at Newcastle, what does that mean for FPL, and what should we be doing with our team? Seb, I mean, I've used the transfers this week just to improve my squad. I feel like squad is more important than ever, right?
I think I've always been a fan of having a cheap bench. Playing is desirable, but maybe not 3 playing players. Maybe one of them is just as cheap as I can get and put the funds in the team. This is probably the first season in a while that I've deliberately, apart from the goalkeeper, deliberately had playing players on the bench. We've got some cheaper options, which certainly helps with that. But I think that's an important step. Like I say, normally I don't really mind too much about it. This season is the first time I'd say it's important. You are actually going to probably use them, at least the first 2 slots. You could maybe take that a step further and say having 3 players from one team is dangerous. But I think that's probably outweighed by if you're having 3 players from like Liverpool or City. If they miss one match, you're going to get more points in the long term by having them. And then things like, we've had people with 2 Villa players and 2 Newcastle players. You can't see that coming. You can't possibly avoid having, 5 players. Like I've got Chilwell, Ziyech, Bamford and Eiling all playing each other this week. I can't plan my squad to avoid situations like that. That is one step too far. So I think just accepting it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to all of us. We're not competing against, point thresholds. We're competing against each other. If we all spend 1 week losing our players to COVID, then it's pretty much even.
Yeah, I had triple Villa. Rich, how have you sort of overcome Villa, and what would you be doing with Villa assets, or what did you do with your Villa assets?
I mean, first of all, I got quite lucky that I didn't have Grealish. I've only got Watkins and Martinez. So, like I mentioned before, I added another goalkeeper, so I've got a bit more depth. And I've also I had 2 free transfers, and I can't remember another time that I had 2 free transfers, only used 1, and then rolled 2 over again. Especially in a week like this week when we knew players like Mahrez were playing. But I just think trying to keep 2 free transfers as much as possible is important as well. Because, I mean, like Seb said, we might have a lot of players playing in the same fixture. But if we've got 2 free transfers, we can do 2, 3, 4 transfers, and it's not going to impact on our points too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easier said than done, especially when you've got stuff like, Liverpool playing Fulham next week, and a lot of people are going to be wanting them. We got City playing quite well. Bruno's playing well. It is difficult not to just keep jumping around onto different assets. And I mean, I don't even have Calvert-Lewin at the moment, and I just don't see. I know he keeps scoring, but I just don't want to use a transfer on bringing someone like Calvert-Lewin in. I'd rather just make sure I have 11, 12 players. And I mean, I've got some players on my bench like Brewster. I mean, a lot of people seem to hate Brewster. He's not started much. He's not scored yet. But I mean, at least he gets some minutes and he plays up front. I mean, I don't think for his price, having someone like that's as bad as some people might make out. Same as Inguisa, for example. Players like that. At least it's something.
Yeah.
Would you say it's changed when you make transfers? So I've always been someone who moves early, unless I don't have to. I'll always take a price rise over waiting for team news or injuries or something like that, because those are so much rarer. I'd say this season I have probably taken more hits on price than I have in the past to wait for Thursday and Friday to see what happens in European competition, which until next week when it's finished for Christmas, it's been happening every week as opposed to every other week.
Yeah.
And then things like COVID. I've probably been waiting on my transfers longer than I ever have done in the past.
Yeah, I'd echo those thoughts. Guys in the chat, Pratik as Mahrez captain. Complete different stat. Filippo, by the way, Mahrez has created 2 big chances. Filippo, triple captain KDB. Fair play to you. Stephen captain KDB as well. Luke says he wish he had. Yeah, there's always West Brom in a couple of weeks. In terms
double game week.
Yeah,
Triple captain for double game week.
Always for me, all my chips are double game weeks, and we'll probably get more double game weeks than ever before this season. By the way, that Newcastle West Brom fixture I referred to in game week 12, just check Newcastle's Twitter page, and Manan pointed it out to me. Thank you, Manan. No game this weekend following the postponement of our trip to Villa, but we're back a week today as we host West Brom at St James's Park. They posted. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's still going ahead. That's just them promoting it. But yeah, I mean, as we've spoken about, improving our squads is something we're all probably looking at. Rich mentions, banking a transfer where possible, so you're well equipped if there are any big announcements, and that's all advice I'm massively keen on. This game week, guys, we're all very excited about Man City, and we've all captained sort of Man City players. But Bruno's been the most popular captaincy option, and he faces West Ham in a couple of hours' time. Are we scared about that? I mean, I don't own Bruno. Rich, I know you don't either. Man United, I said a couple of weeks ago, I can't see Bruno. I'm not desperate to bring Bruno in because Man United don't look like they're going to score more than a goal each week. But in the last few weeks, they've started scoring goals. And not having Bruno's really cost me. And they're looking much better going forward with Cavani in the team. I'm pretty nervous. Seb, you own Bruno.
I do.
Is he a set and forget for you?
I mean, I'd be happy to lose him in a few weeks. You mentioned, they've started scoring goals, but they played Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, and Everton, Bruno did get 2 goals. And then West Brom, Southampton, West Ham today. I mean, the fixture difficulty has changed massively, and the style of team they're playing. Even if we don't think Arsenal is that difficult at the moment, they're playing very defensively. Mm-hmm. If Man United score goals, Bruno is likely to be involved for penalties as much as anything. Starting scoring open play goals, which is good to see. His stats aren't incredible. They're probably about where you'd want them, which for me means I'm happy to have him while the fixtures are good, and then I'm very happy to lose him. If it means, losing him instead of Ziyech to get Salah, I'm open to that.
Yeah. Rich, what are your thoughts on United? Because like me, you don't have any United players, and they're always fairly highly owned despite the form because they're the most popular team in the UK.
Yeah, I find them difficult. I'd love to have Bruno in my team, and it's horrible watching Man United play without having him in. But I just have so many players I'd rather have. I'd rather have De Bruyne, I'd rather have Sterling, and I'd rather have Salah. Like, Salah's my next priority to get in. So it's not that I don't like him. I think he's a great asset, but I wouldn't captain him. I've looked at who I'd captain every week until the end of the year. And I mean, I think it was Salah. 1 week. It's basically, and Kane actually. Right. There's a few right around Christmas where Kane's got, I think he's got Fulham at home and West Brom at home. It's a couple of very easy teams basically. I just wouldn't captain him, so he's not a priority for me. Yeah. So I'm just gonna. I don't want to just keep using transfers. I mean, I actually fancy Son just as much as this week as Bruno. As mad as that sounds.
I think Son against Arsenal is. I could definitely see goals there.
Yeah. So again, I'd just rather not use my transfer or do a hit to get Bruno in for Son. I'd just rather stick with him. So I mean, my answer is I do like him. I'm envious of people with him. But I just don't see it as a pressing priority.
I think the captain point is a really good one. We spoke about value earlier, and if you looked at value and just made your decisions on that, your entire team would be worth about 6 million. You need those players that are only value when you double their points.
Yeah.
Fernandes, gets good points either way, but he falls into that category. If you own De Bruyne, Salah, Fernandes, and Vardy, like I do or plan to, but I could never captain any of them, I'd probably start questioning their place in my side. De Bruyne, maybe I'd keep for the consistency, but someone like Fernandes, Salah, would I actually maybe think Grealish is a better option? So if you aren't going to captain them in the first place, they're possibly not worth their price.
Yeah. Guys, it's Man City 2, Fulham 0. It's been really one-sided. De Bruyne and Sterling have both had a goal and an assist. KDB's currently miles ahead in the bonus points, and Sterling second. Seb, I could see you watching the replay of the Sterling penalty. I could see a snide grimace. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of tough without commentary. The angle isn't that helpful. I'm guessing he does get a kick on that shin, but
it's not enough. He's on the way down though when he gets it, isn't he?
It's a touch rather than a kick. Like, hey, look, my stance on those is if he gets touched, fine, buy the penalty. You're a professional. That's your job. And it's not on the players to change that. It's on the referees. If you don't want those to be penalties, stop giving them.
Yeah.
Players will earn it, and so they should. It's their job to do so. My question is if that actually was a touch at all. If he is getting touched, fair enough. I'm really stretching to see that touch, but it doesn't seem like VAR got particularly involved. So I think maybe just without the commentary, just the visuals, I'm just not catching the right angle.
But so I expect to see that, and I expect a 3 or 4 minute VAR decision from what we've seen this season. I expect pitch side monitor, ref to go over. That's usually a really long one, like one that becomes very subjective. Now VAR look at and see everything, so they could have intervened and said no goal, no penalty, sorry, but it was a really quick one, so I was quite surprised by that. And when you look at the players on the pitch, often quite a good reaction to go by. The Fulham players didn't really, they weren't really strongly appealing either, and the ref had a really good view. So maybe we just didn't get the best camera.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm just wrong. I'm thinking I've just missed it. Like you say, everything else indicates that it was a pretty clear penalty.
Yeah. Rich, we've spoken about Bruno and United with their fixture in terms of highly owned players. Neither of us own Vardy this week either. Now, he faces Sheffield United. He's a Wednesday fan. Sheffield United have been hopeless this season. But when you look at the numbers, they've not actually been as bad as the table might suggest. Now, Leicester slipped up against Fulham last week. I fancy Sheffield United to get something. Now, they could get something and Vardy could still go on and score a few. But Leicester don't look brilliant at the moment, do they?
No, they don't. But then I don't think Sheffield United have kept a clean sheet all season.
I don't think so.
I think they've had one. So I'd presume based on that, Leicester are going to score at least a couple. And then odds are that Vardy's going to be involved, especially with that extra motivation. So
and the penalty appeal, which we just know Leicester get a lot of pens. They had more penalties than United this year.
I'm not worried that he's going to score a hat trick or a hat trick and 2 assists, something like that. But I've got a feeling he'll score. But then similar to Kane, really.
Yeah, Seb, you're on Vardy. You talked about bringing the likes of Bruno in, and if they're a captaincy option, then great. If not, then maybe not. Are you thinking Vardy will become a captaincy option? Has he been? Will he be for you? Because he's a lot of money if you're not captain.
I probably won't own him in time to have him. So he was, the Kane, Son, De Bruyne, Vardy move made sense. Vardy had 2 absolutely lovely fixtures. Only got an assist last week, and I'm not expecting too much this week. But if it comes out, if De Bruyne and Vardy come out above Kane and Son, which so far is looking good, I'm happy with that move.
Yeah.
I think I will probably. Well, they've got Sheffield United this weekend, then Brighton, Everton, Tottenham, Man United. There's nothing too special there. I will probably not own Vardy in 1 or 2 weeks. I think he's who goes to give me Salah funds.
Yeah. In terms of watch lists, keen to know who you are looking at bringing in. Seb, you've mentioned Salah. I've sold Grealish this week. I've done it because I know I want Jota moving forward, but I want a way of getting Grealish back in. So I'm looking at potentially changing my system to go from 5 in midfield to upgrade Burke to a Grealish and downgrade potentially a Timo Werner or a Calvert-Lewin to either Calvert-Lewin could go to a Brewster or Timo Werner could go to a Callum Wilson to do that. But I'm really reluctant to sell Werner. My fear is that with Pulisic now back and Frank looking like he's going to play an out-and-out number 9, what are your thoughts on that, Rich? Because I know you're heavily involved with kind of going big on Chelsea. Would you ever consider one of their attacking assets like a Werner? Because obviously you've got 3 Chelsea defenders. The second half's about to kick off, guys. Stay with us. We're going to be talking FPL and keeping you updated on the game. So watch the game, but mute it and listen to our dulcet tones. Rich, what are your thoughts on Werner and Chelsea attackers in general? Because Ziyech as well has been popular, but doesn't think he's going to score many goals.
A big reason I was happy to go for the 3 Chelsea defenders was sort of to stop myself, because it seemed like there's a new Chelsea. I don't know if bandwagon's the right word, but every couple of weeks it seems to be, which Chelsea attacker we want changes. Like a couple of weeks ago it was Ziyech, and now I've seen quite a few people are losing their patience with him. We've obviously had moments where Werner's looked great. We had Havertz where he returned 3 games in a row. He wasn't really putting up the numbers. Pulisic, when he came back from his injury, he was very popular after the end of last season. I just wouldn't know which one to go for. And especially if now maybe Giroud will come in. Just part of it, I'm almost stopping myself, because don't get me wrong, I really wanted Ziyech, but I couldn't get him. And I mean, touch wood, it's turned out all right. I mean, I know some people got on him. He had 2 back-to-back hauls. That's fantastic. But
Samantha said 3 Chelsea defenders is genius. Rich, and you have done so well out of that in recent weeks. That was a brave call.
Who are the 3?
So it's not Thiago Silva, so not the one who scored against Sheffield United. Basically, that was quite gutting actually. But Zuma, Reece James, and Chilwell.
I mean, you've had a few goals from them already. Chilwell's got you a goal. Zuma must have got you a goal.
Well, I got Zuma in actually after he stopped scoring.
Okay.
So I've not. If I'd had him since the start, it would have been incredible. But yeah, it's been good. It's been good value, and it's stops me getting those Chelsea attackers. The only thing is Zuma's quite expensive for what he is. I think he's gone up to like 5.5 now.
Right, and he's not. You'd think other than he's not got the assist threat of a Reece James or a Chilwell.
No, so I mean he could be one. If I ever need £1 million to get, I don't know, Salah or any of these big hitters we've talked about, I think he might be a little cash cow. Where I can pop him down to Dallas or Ayling or someone.
Well, that was going to be my question. Presumably, they're your starting 3. All else being equal, do you feel like you're missing a Robertson or a Lamptey or the Leeds players probably haven't quite come good yet, but they're available.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that actually because I'm playing 4 at the back this week with Lamptey. So
okay.
When I watch him play, I mean he's been so unlucky not to get points at Lamptey, hasn't he? And I feel like he could be better value than Zuma. And like you said, the Leeds guys are going to have incredible fixtures coming up. So the other alternative could be I might switch to 4 at the back to accommodate the 3 Chelsea and then one of Lamptey or Dallas. And then you can go really heavy with your midfield premiums.
Yeah, Dallas has been doing well in recent weeks, and Leeds have kept 2 clean sheets in a row. Seb, I looked at the Leeds backline and thought, Dallas, everyone's liking because he's playing as kind of a number 8. He's looking quite advanced. He's getting some.
He played number 8 once. He played left back last week.
Where did Alioski play last week then?
He played on the left, and Harrison played inside.
Right. Okay. So Dallas may have only played number 8 once, but he is getting forward, isn't he? He's getting because he even got the bonus points last week.
Yeah, so Dallas from left back, Dallas is a less good option than Ayling for me based on last year's stats. I mean, we're 10 weeks in now, probably time to review for this season. There's probably enough. Oh, was that Mahrez coming in from the right?
No, Sterling.
I thought it was
sorry, it was Mahrez.
That's Mahrez on the right.
It's the gloves.
And looks to lay up Jesus, but I don't think he can quite get to it before the defenders. And City have stopped the counter attack quite easily. Another, 2 minutes in, and another chance for those points. Then.
Quick out the blocks, aren't they, City? We saw the first couple of minutes of the game, Sterling with a big chance missed, and we saw another one there. So, Seb, back to Leeds defenders. I mean, we should be perhaps looking at them at 4.5 million options. That they're now keeping the clean sheets we kind of knew they always would.
So it's definitely between Ayling and Dallas, and I've been saying for a while, for me, Ayling is the better choice of the 2, but it's so close that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's probably time to review this season's stats. We've got enough data now. Maybe Dallas is edging it, even if only because every now and again he appears in midfield. If that ups his bonus point potential, more than anything else, then fair enough. But I think it's very close. I own Ayling, and I would only make the move to Dallas if I was about to burn a transfer,
Seb, Samantha's asked a really good question in the chat, and you'll probably know the answer. Historically, South American players and managers don't learn the language that quick, right? Look at Sergio Aguero. He still won't do an interview in English, or not very often. Does Bielsa, says Samantha, use a translator to communicate with his team? Now, he's been in England almost 2.5 years, I think.
So he's changed his translator quite a lot. It's gone from being like his assistant to a proper translator to a coach and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
He can speak a lot better English than he lets on.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but he can communicate with the players fine.
KDB in 4 on 4 here.
Oh, go on then.
KDB in, slots it left to Jesus. Takes a touch.
Kevin De Bruyne's
hit
the bar.
Hit the bar.
Oh.
KDB again with the volley over.
Oh. And I've just seen it. Oh.
That was a good phaser play. It was 4 on 4. Fulham are committed numbers here. 4 on 4. KDB runs it from the halfway line.
And I know Sterling wasn't involved in that, but he's the one that overlaps to create the space and is waiting just there for somebody to come back off the goalkeeper.
Oh, KDB on his left foot from 12 yards out. You expect him to tuck that away, don't you?
I mean, I'd be interested to know the XG on it. It's not... There's a defender in front of him. He's slightly left of it. It's a little bit further than the penalty spot. Reckon it
Yeah,
counts as a big chance, maybe 0.3.
He doesn't have much to aim at, does he? With the first one.
Yeah. I think he goes for the spot he has to go for, and therefore, going high like that is never as easy as trying to, having a clear shot at goal and going low. Have to see when the stats update to see if it was a big chance missed, which would be about 0.3 XG, I think. But yeah, Bielsa, he can speak English. It's not the best by any means. He can communicate with the players fine. In fact, without the crowds, you can hear him swearing at our players in English. And in training, he does. He has a translator available in training as well. But then again, like I said, it's because it's often one of the coaches.
So it's 2-0, and City do not look like they're going to let up. I'm just seeing a graphic: 11 attempts to 3, 5 on target to 0. I guess our fear as a KDB or even a Sterling owner is that Pep will start making changes at 60 minutes, and that we could see some sort of fewer minutes for the most important men as he might rest them. But
Cancelo in, came to nothing. De Bruyne laid Cancelo in. I think he was caught between a shot and a cutback, and he kind of just fell over it.
Okay. With there being a Champions League game in the week, do we fear there'll be a rest for some of the key men, but it'll rest him in the week surely? So we still think KDB and Sterling could get 90 today?
Give him a couple more goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon. But maybe once we get to 3 or 4-0, if we get to 3 or 4-0, then I'll get a bit worried. But
subs will certainly happen. He's got Ferran Torres, Bernardo Silva, Foden on the bench. You could see De Bruyne, Sterling, and Mahrez coming off for those three, but there's no massive pressure to do it. For someone like Sterling, it's almost better to keep him on and let him get 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah. Sterling's in again here down the left. Into the box.
Just been shielded out.
Sure. Okay. Give us your time code, Seb, for those in the chat that want to mirror, because I think you're a couple of seconds ahead.
52, 05, 06, 07, 08.
Oh, you're not as far ahead anymore. That's good.
Oh, they jump back.
I'm catching you. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So just the KDB chance that hit the crossbar hasn't come up as a big chance yet, as far as I can see. That might get reviewed, which I think, depending on the model they're using, if that's Opta, that means it's probably below 0.3 XG. So not as easy a chance as you would think at first time.
Yeah. I was really disappointed that he didn't get the shot on target, hitting the bars off target. But we saw KDB hit the woodwork last week as well. So both times he's been my captain. That's a massive point swing. But, I'm in the same boat as most others, and certainly of you guys. We would love another KDB return here. So at the moment, he's on 3 bonus. He's got 5 points for the goal. Yeah, or Sterling. Even better, actually. And he got 3 for the assist. So I'm just trying to work. He's on 13 points as it stands, I think. Maybe even 14 with a clean sheet point.
Sterling would be on 13 and KDB would be on 14?
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, because Sterling
after 60 minutes, I mean, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But then I guess the defenders then might get bonus points for the clean sheet.
Although there's not been many blocks and clearances from the Man City defenders.
No.
So
I think De Bruyne is clear in bonus. And then if Sterling has still got his game-winning goal to be added as well.
Looks
of course.
like
Yes, good point.
He's missed those big chances he missed will cost him.
Looks like there may have been some action, Seb. I'm going to come to you first, knowing you're ahead of us on the stream.
Not seeing anything. I've got replays of Mendy and Bobby Reed here.
So
I've not seen anything happen too much.
Playing it forward for me.
Okay, maybe not. I think there may have been someone spamming us on the chat. Maybe there hasn't been a goal. Guys, I noticed the chat has been really active with some people giving regular messages. If we could keep it to football chat, that'd be amazing. Not quite sure how to edit some of you that perhaps are looking for certain political messages. So if you could just keep it to football chat, that'd be much appreciated so we can all enjoy the game. But for the moment, I'm taking my eyes off the chat as we just give you updates on what we're seeing, and you guys watching might want to do the same. So again, it's Man City just dominating the ball. Loftus-Cheek's playing today, and with my Chelsea hat, I always like watching him. I've been really disappointed that he kind of has gone from a starter in Moscow for England in 2018 in Russia at the World Cup, and he started, I think, 3 or 4 games in that World Cup for England, to playing at potentially one of the weakest teams in the Premier League at Fulham. What's happened to him, Seb? Is he? Are we going to see Loftus-Cheek back to his best in the not too distant? He did well when
Injuries.
he did well when we loaned him to Palace. He did really well, and
Yeah, he really
got
did
him into
actually.
the
He looked
England-
really
that-
good.
That got him into the England team. That was the year.
When was that now? Years ago.
Would have been
wasn't it?
2017-18 season, because off the back of that, Gareth took him to Moscow, to
He was
Russia.
he was playing almost number 10 there, wasn't he, as well, I think?
Yeah, off the left a lot, which was
Okay.
interesting. He was left
He's-
of a four-man midfield.
I think he's very, very talented, and clearly he has a great tactical mind for it as well. But I think the injuries, he's 24 now, and it feels almost like he's still 20 in terms of his development. I think he's missed so much time due to injuries that either he's lost a bit of form because he's not quite in the physical shape he was, or he's just lost that time to keep developing. I think, unfortunately, you might be seeing a player that bounces between the Championship and the Premier League for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Rich, what do you reckon? Loftus-Cheek, are we gonna? Will he ever become an FPL asset? Because the way he plays the game, if he's at the right club and he is fit and he is always around this price point, he could one day become a very good FPL asset.
He could do. I mean, I know a lot of Chelsea fans, so probably yourself included, were hoping that he would become, a great FPL asset. And I mean, never say never. But I mean, I don't think he'd be ever as kindly priced as he was when he was at Palace. What was he, like 4.5 million?
Yeah, I think I had him as like my fifth mid for that period of time.
Yeah,
I think he was one of the most popular ones up there with George Boyd. He was always a good one. But and I don't think, luckily, just from England's point of view, I don't think we need Loftus-Cheek. As in, even if he did get back to where he was, I think we're quite lucky at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I can't see. I mean, I think from Fulham, Lookman does look quite interesting.
Yeah.
If I was going to look at any of them, but
Kevin De Bruyne is away, in on goal. Played through by
Go on,
Mahrez, I
KDB.
think. Oh, it's been saved.
Oh,
Areola comes out and does really well. He makes De Bruyne make an early decision, goes with his left foot, I guess, to try and go across the keeper. Good save in the end. I think, Mahrez played him in.
was it Mahrez? So Mahrez creating another big chance.
I guess that probably does.
no,
That possibly does count as a big chance.
that was Sterling, I think.
No,
Because I'm
Mahrez.
I
delayed.
thought it was Mahrez.
Oh,
Mahrez.
is there another chance after this? Was that on the left-hand side of the goal, the De Bruyne shot?
Yeah, the one that I'm almost certain that was Mahrez legging
Oh,
through.
yeah,
was
sorry.
breaking as well.
Sterling jumped over the ball. I apologise. I missed the original pass.
But Sterling was there as well, encouraging. It's those three often creating stuff.
Yeah.
This is unlucky to only be
And
2-0.
the corners come to nothing.
We could, yeah. I mean, as KDB captainers, I mean, we're going to get a big score. It's great, but you can't always help but want for more, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, a goal and an assist is good. He's going to get bonus. I think the chances have been good, but no one scores all their chances. When you captain a player when you're watching them, you feel like every chance, should have been a goal or something. But what's the average conversion rate on shots? Something like 30%. So he's going to need 3 chances to score a goal. Well, he's had those 3 chances and he scored one of them.
The bit that always annoys me with games like this is when you've got De Bruyne and or any player like that, and he's so lowly owned, you just want him to do it before, the majority jump on them.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like I'm sure a few weeks ago there were Bruno owners, that got that whole, I can't remember the first game he hauled away from home, well, every game. But, there must have been Bruno owners when he was quite lowly owned and then everyone jumps on. These windows are like so small. So it's quite easy to be greedy and just want, all the points now.
Well, we're on the Sterling one, Rich, maybe. 4% owned Sterling. City was 6% a few weeks ago. But I just can't see people bringing Sterling in because they'll be bringing KDB in over him.
They will.
And if
they
you
won't
own
want to sell
KDB,
Bruno
you
for
probably
him.
aren't going to go for the double up. You're either already on it like us because you're committed to City, or you're happy with just KDB
I
knowing
think
you'll be captaining him.
The time to go for Sterling now, if you don't own him, would be that ahead of that West Brom game we mentioned. But then it's going to be all like this week where everyone's like, "Oh, is he going to play? Is he going to play?"
Yeah, and I think around the West Brom game, is that not when we've got 2 game weeks within this? We've got a midweek game week, or is the West Brom game a midweek game week? We've got like a Wednesday, Thursday night Premier League round of fixtures. It's game week 13 or 14.
That is West Brom, Tuesday 15th.
So it'll be in another Premier League game a few days later. So there'll be the whole fear of rotation again with Sterling there, because it'll be like Man City would have 2 Premier League games in the space of, I guess, 4 or 5 days.
Sterling would have to do a lot more to interest me, if only because of price. Like, I'm not going to lose De Bruyne for him by any means. And Fernandes, Salah, by the time I get around to it, Kane just after Christmas is probably someone I want to be looking at.
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree
looking
with
at
that,
I'm looking at Spurs again in the not too distant, and it will be Kane or Son, possibly Son for Sterling. But guys, we're 59 minutes in. Pep usually starts to make subs at 65. I'm thinking Mahrez at the front three will be the first to be sacrificed by how the game's gone. I think he'll want Sterling to score more goals, and Mahrez has had his hat-trick already. I think he'll want Jesus to score a goal in this fixture. He wants his strikers scoring goals, and he's not scored a huge amount lately, and with Aguero still out... Aguero's not on the bench, is he? I know he has returned to training. I don't think...
No, he is not.
So Aguero's not going to come on. So you'd think Jesus stays. I could see Foden coming on for Mahrez. I could see Torres coming on for Mahrez, probably Foden actually. What do you guys reckon?
I think Jesus has played 90 minutes in. I did have a little chart on my phone, but I think Jesus has played 90 minutes in every game that he's played in the Prem.
Wow.
I guess he could bring Ferran Torres on, but again, it's only 2-0, so it's it's a dangerous lead. So, and also Pep's not done that many subs this season, so.
No, he's not. He's been moaning about it, and he rarely uses full allocation. So have you noticed that? Like Champions League, he did use 5, I think, in the week, but usually he uses 1 or 2.
Or was it the Klopp one who he complained about it and then didn't use all his subs?
Yeah.
I get that he needed to win that game, etc. But it's just, I mean, that sort of stuff is a bit meaningless. It's partly true. Of course, managers would love more time. They'd love more money, more time, everything to go their way. Obviously, in rugby, you often have complete weeks off because obviously it's more physically intense, and they still want more time. If you gave Guardiola his way, he'd play once every 2 weeks, right? And he'd never have injuries. He'd never do a press conference. So of course he's going to say that stuff.
He'd definitely never do a press conference. We just don't get much from him, do we? Although I was really surprised to see the embargoed comments last night. Rich, and you'd have seen him saying he actually told us that Mahrez was going to play. He didn't say start, but he said, "Look, Mahrez will be playing." Pep doesn't usually give up that info, does he? Are we seeing a shift in his approaches to press conferences?
No, he's so cryptic, isn't he? I mean, even that I thought was some kind of mind game. Like you just don't expect it, and I'm
half expected to see him on the bench after that.
Yeah, no, really did, because it just said play, didn't it? So he could have just, like you said, played off the bench, and then he's technically told the truth. I don't know. I find it very hard to trust anything Pep says. You've got to take it with a pinch of salt.
He's also got a very big squad of very good players. It's probably the best squad in the league, you'd say.
It's ridiculous.
Alongside Chelsea, maybe? I'm so biased. But Chelsea's squad is ridiculous this year.
I mean, Liverpool fans aren't going to be happy with that, are they?
I mean, yeah, possibly. I mean, look, we'll see how good Liverpool's squad is if they can continue without Van Dijk. I mean, I guess anyone misses Van Dijk, but you look at that back line, I'd argue that Chelsea and City have got more depth than Liverpool if you just go off defences. I don't know. Look, Liverpool have been amazing in recent seasons, but how often have we seen a Salah, a Mane, a Firmino out for long periods? We've not. They've done really well off keeping their key players fit. I don't know. Seb,
I agree. I mean, last couple of seasons when Man City have lost De Bruyne and Laporte, and Liverpool haven't lost a Salah or a Van Dijk, I think that was a massive thing in them winning the title. I don't think Liverpool would have lost the title, but they wouldn't have won it by however many points they did if they had equivalent injuries to the teams that were around them. Obviously, this season, maybe that luck is, and that is variance. You can prevent injuries, you can do your best, but you're going to get them, and sometimes you'll get them all together. Sometimes you won't get any for ages. They've lost Van Dijk for a long, long time. They've lost Joe Gomez. I think this is probably that thing. They're coming home to roost, as it were.
So, you say about Liverpool fans and kind of the depth of squad, but Minamino, Origi, Nico Williams, are these players that would be a second choice in their position at any other of the sort of big 4, big 6 clubs?
I mean, clearly not, but I don't know if that's entirely the intention either. Someone like Nico Williams has, they haven't bought him, or at least I don't think they have. And while he's been a professional player, he's come through the ranks. And while he might be second or third in line for a fullback position, he's also there to be a fullback in 5 years' time, right?
Yeah.
They haven't gone, oh, we'll buy you just to back up this slot. Whereas Chelsea, you've bought, half a new first team. So, of course, the old first team are going to drop to second position and be considerably better backups.
Yeah. Bad example, Nico Williams. But, you look at Origi, Minamino, or let's go off their Greek left-back they've bought. You're buying a player that's a squad man that...
Good luck convincing someone of similar quality to Robertson to come in and play second choice all season. And, I mean, you say Origi... when they first bought him, he was very similar. It was a young player to develop, right? I think he came from Belgium,
Yeah, I think he did.
straight. So
Was
he
Bruges?
was someone who
I think it was Bruges.
possibly, but he was someone who was there to develop and become a first choice striker later. He maybe hasn't quite developed as much as they hoped, but he has developed into second choice. But they didn't buy him as that second choice.
Yeah. In fact, let's turn our attention to as Fulham just come on the attack, but City looks so comfortable.
City looks so good. Yeah.
To Liverpool, Rich, Salah, Jota. This isn't a season for Mane, is it? It doesn't seem to be.
No, it doesn't. I mean, he's not even a bad price if Salah didn't exist, but he does. So yeah, I mean, I'd see no reason to go for Mane over Salah. I think the only question a lot of people are going to ask themselves is if they go without Salah at all. Because of all these players we mentioned earlier, and you can go for Jota. Maybe you could captain him. I'm not going to do it. I went without him game week 1, and I learnt my lesson.
There's only one way that ends. I mean, how many times have we seen, for example, Foden be the best pick at Man City, or Grealish be a better captain choice than a De Bruyne or a Fernandes or a Kane? It doesn't work. Have Jota as well, by all means, but don't pick Jota instead of Salah.
Yeah, it won't cover. It's a bit like going, I don't know, you wouldn't go Mahrez instead of KDB. To cover the cover players' points is such a term, it's such a common term we discuss. I can't think of many examples of where you can successfully cover the better players' points at one particular club. It's a bit like so many of us went Shea Adams at the start of the season to cover Danny Ings' points. It doesn't necessarily work like that. These players, these talismanic figures at the clubs are there for a reason. They're expensive FPL assets that return consistently for a reason. So to cover them is always very tricky. It's a bit like, Villa covering Grealish. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. On the Scoutcast, I mentioned Barkley as my differential, and that went terribly because he got injured within 5 minutes. But if you're picking them on their own rights, so my reasoning for Barkley was separate to Grealish. It was not instead of, it was as well as.
Yeah.
If you're picking Jota because you need a player at that price point who has good fixtures and has some good returns under his belt, by all means go Jota, but don't let that affect your Salah decision.
Yeah, attacking substitution, by the way. Reed is coming off for Lamina, so that's holding midfielder Reed, not right wing back Reed. For Lamina, who plays in the middle, but you'd expect him to get further forward than Reed. Lamina has got pedigree, did well at Southampton in spells, came from Juve. I like Lamina.
He was really highly rated at Juve, wasn't he?
Really highly rated, and I was really surprised to see him sort of downgrade, if you like, to Southampton. To see him now at Fulham is a bit weird. And guys in the chat, you're so good at letting us know when we make small errors. I said I thought Origi was Bruges. Josh let us know it was Genk. Alexander said it was Lille though, so I'm not too sure who's right. Maybe it was both.
Maybe he didn't come straight. That might be my mistake. Let's have a little look.
Yeah, interested to know that. I remember Origi getting into the Belgium squad when he was really young, when he first broke through at Liverpool, or came into the Liverpool squad. And at times, remember him playing for Belgium over a Lukaku or a Benteke, I think it was at the time. So, highly regarded.
So he was a youth player at Genk, signed by Lille in 2010, I think. Yeah, signed as a youth player. Yeah, came through at Lille, signed by Liverpool. So yeah, Lille to Liverpool.
So he would have been at Lille with maybe Eden Hazard, maybe even Joe Cole. 2010 till 14, 15?
14, yeah, 14.
Yeah, Hazard. You probably played with Hazard. City.
Eden Hazard was Lille 2007 to 2012. So they probably didn't overlap in senior teams.
I remember Joe Cole saying he sort of played with Hazard or trained with him and sort of saying to Chelsea, "You got to buy this kid."
Nice.
Which I love. Chelsea City 69 minutes in, still no subs for City. They got a corner. Looks like they're going to not go short for the first time ever. KDB whips it in. Oh, is that Diaz just over the bar?
It is Diaz. He has threat from those positions.
Yeah, he does seem to win a lot, doesn't he? He has that sort of physicality to always be involved.
Worth noting for
didn't he?
Yeah.
Worth noting for Mahrez owners that he has had 5 key passes and created 3 big chances.
Ouch.
He has had only 1 shot and it was blocked. So probably a different performance to last week.
So Pep says he wants goal scorers, and then Mahrez goes from being greedy to the creator. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I don't know how many shots he had last week. I wouldn't be surprised if last week he pretty much overperformed in terms of threat and maybe is underperforming this week. If you owned Mahrez for 2 weeks and I told you were going to get 3 goals, you wouldn't be unhappy.
No.
But you probably feel unlucky now because you've already got those points. And he's created chances this week. If De Bruyne had put 2 of those chances away, that's an assist for Mahrez.
Yeah, guys, in the next 2 minutes, we are going to have Man United team news for you, so stay with us. I just wonder if there'll be any surprises in that lineup. There's so many fixtures for United that are the big games. They've got Leipzig in the week that they need to win. It's winner takes all. They can get the draw and go through. Then they've got City next week, and they've played so many minutes. I just wonder if there's going to be a big name casualty from the starting lineup. I don't know. Look, I might be wrong. And Ollie does tend to pick the same team when they're playing well, and they're playing all right. They're actually pretty good against PSG at times, I thought. But yeah, we're going to have the lineup in a minute. In terms of United players, Rich and I don't have any. Seb, you're just on Bruno, I expect.
Yep.
And you're very confident of him starting and playing 90, I expect.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a
Bruno.
chance he could get rested, of course. But if if he gets rested, anyone can get rested, and then I don't really mind. That happens.
Yeah. It looks like another sub for Fulham. I think that's Kamara coming on. I don't know who made way. Was it Cavani?
Bobby Reed, I think.
Oh right. So changing system then, because Kamara's not going to play right wing back.
Quite possibly.
Kamara you'd think, go up top unless he plays. Unless he moves. Who was playing number 9 to right wing back? The guy that used to play at Wolves, Portuguese lad.
Cavaleiro.
He might go right wing back. Okay, United starting 11. The big news is there's no Bruno. Henderson starts.
Is there no Bruno?
There's no Bruno.
Joking.
Wait, hang on.
You must have read it wrong. Did it say Fernandez? It would say Fernandez, surely.
No, seriously. Henderson, Lindelof, Maguire, Pogba, Cavani, Martial, Greenwood, Telles, Wan-Bissaka, Van der Beek, McTominay. There is no Bruno in the starting 11. He's on the bench.
No Rashford either.
No Rashford, no Bruno.
So he has rotated. He has rotated for Leipzig. Yeah, fair enough.
I've absolutely called that. I've got a WhatsApp chain of me talking to Toby saying Bruno's getting benched this week. Mark my words. And then I'm almost going. I'm so ready to screen grab this for Twitter.
Oh, I think Mahrez. Oh, that's Jesus. Sorry, no, Jesus was in, but he's got shielded out.
Jesus is also wearing gloves, which is why it's.
Yeah, for a sec, I looked up and saw gloves, and I was like, oh.
Wow.
If he doesn't come off the bench, interesting to see what happens with captains. I bet there's a fair few people who didn't captain De Bruyne but did make him vice.
Yeah, good point.
Because what's his name? Fabio captained Bruno. Fabio Borges.
Oh, did he?
And I always like to look at his captains, but I don't think he's got De Bruyne. I could be wrong.
Okay.
He's a captain I always look out for.
I'm just having to search my WhatsApp history to find Bruno from yesterday, so I can post.
It makes you think Bruno will come off the bench. Surely he doesn't get completely rested.
Not if they're winning.
I mean, will they be winning? I'm looking at that team. McTominay.
True.
I don't know. I mean, West Ham have not.
I would not overreact. It's Solskjaer has finally rotated ahead of a very big fixture in the week. I think Leipzig are a much better team than Man United as well. So I think Man United do need their best players out. I don't think this is going to happen again anytime soon. Like you say, Bruno might come off the bench, and if he doesn't, maybe this isn't the week because we've had our benches used for Villa and stuff. But
he's more nailed now, I guess. If he's if he's had his rest for future games, I guess that's the positive.
Yeah. And
also there might be some managers without any bench at all, or that didn't have 11 players. So I'd imagine a lot of people might want him to come on.
If he doesn't play, that means I get Bissouma, I think. So 2 points.
There we go. So, yeah. And Bruno could do something off the bench. If he comes on and they're chasing the game or something.
I'd imagine he's very highly owned as well. 40%. Not the biggest we've seen, but big enough. It's a lot of people are in the same boat. If anything, it's almost more annoying that if he doesn't play, those vice captains will go to De Bruyne because, as you were saying earlier, it's nice to get those points. Well, more people will get those points now.
Yeah, it adds a lot of luck because I had it last week when I captained Sterling and I had De Bruyne vice captain. And I got lucky that
You say lucky though. It's still a decision you've made. You've you've given your captain to the player you think is most likely. You've given your vice to the player who's second most likely.
It's true. I guess you can see it both ways. I guess I felt unlucky at the time that Sterling didn't even play because he's not cheap. Yeah. And
maybe it's a bit of luck, but it's a sensible precaution, right? You haven't just stuck your vice captain on your goalkeeper. That would be lucky.
That's true, actually. That's true. If I had Johnston and he got his 11-pointer.
Yeah, exactly. You don't own Bruno, do you, Gianni?
No, and I'm very happy about that now,
He's
just for 1 week.
still looking for the WhatsApp message.
I found it.
He's messaging Toby.
I've just written the post yesterday. Me telling Tomar gets Bruno could be benched. I've got the screen grab and it's being posted on Twitter as we speak. Yeah, I'm very happy because each week I do hide behind the sofa and I do, for some reason, always decide to watch the game with Bruno, and I don't know why I do it to myself because I've got no FPL interest and I should just not watch it because it kills me every week.
Are you looking forward to him coming off the bench and scoring a penalty?
I mean, if he only gets 6 points, no bonus, 1 appearance point, and 5 for the goal, I think I'd take 6 points as a non-owner.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll take that as well. The Calvert-Lewin.
He's been getting double digits every week, hasn't he? So, and knowing so many have captained him, I'd be happy with them getting 6 to 12. I mean, if KDB outperforms Bruno as a captaincy option this week, I guess it's kind of job done, happy days. And he's looking very likely to do that now Bruno's not starting. But
Yeah, for sure.
You're right, Seb. There will be loads. I mean, Bruno was the second most popular captain pick this game week, so there will be a huge amount with Vardy, maybe even Calvert-Lewin and De Bruyne as their vice. So if he does come on,
probably you want Bruno to stay on the bench now, really, don't you? I mean, I think I'd rather he came on because he's my vice, so I've already got the captain points, and even if he comes on for 5 minutes, I'd probably back him to get more points than Basuma. But I think most people would probably rather he stays on the bench if they've captained him.
I think it's very unlikely you're going to get like a 2 or 3 minute cameo. I don't think he'd do that to Bruno. Like a time wasting sub.
Like that.
Well, yeah, I just couldn't see it. As much as personally I'd like it to happen, I just can't see that. I think if he needs to waste some time, he's going to bring on the other guys. Who've you got on about Matic?
Looking forward to a Scott McTominay injury in the warm-up and Bruno starts anyway.
Well, I wonder, the reason I thought he could be rested is because in the last couple of games, he has picked up knocks and he's played on and he's not sort of limped heavily, but I've thought you need a rest and you've picked up a few knocks in the last few games. So, yeah, I just wonder if they'll only use him if they need him and now he'll get a full rest today. In terms of the bench, though, it is looking like a weak bench. Like, if United are losing that game, Rashford is on the bench, but outside of Rashford, it's Rashford and Bruno. The rest of the
Rashford's
subs,
got a knock as well.
And Rashford's got a knock too. So it's Tuanzebe, Williams, Mata, Matic, Bruno and Rashford. Like, there's not a huge amount there.
West Ham's team is pretty much first choice, isn't it? I'd say there's a very good chance that West Ham are leading by 60 minutes and Bruno does come on. Because, I mean, Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba, etc. are great players, but so far this season have not shown that at all. Mason Greenwood has massively regressed to the mean in terms of shot conversion, which was always coming with, he had something like a 300% better return than Messi in terms of XG. But Anthony Martial, who is extremely clinical, maybe hasn't even had those chances. Donny van der Beek at number 10 behind Cavani could be interesting.
Oh, he goes to put in Jesus, but it's blocked.
I missed that. I'm all on the Man United game now, clearly.
You're right. It's funny you say something about the Greenwood conversion rate, because this is a kid that scored quite a few goals at the end of last season, but he barely shoots. Like, he has one shot a game and scores it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was completely unsustainable.
Yeah. Rich, that United West Ham game, I'm just looking at the West Ham lineup. It is the West Ham lineup we have seen week in, week out for the last couple of weeks. Allaire, Antonio, a bit of rotation there, but Bowen Fornals behind Allaire, Rice and Souček sit in, Noble's not in the squad, in the team, and that back five's pretty fixed. West Ham go into this game as the home team with that 11 versus no Rashford, no Bruno United. I mean, the bookies would still probably have United as favourites, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw / West Ham win, knowing these two sets of 11s. Moyes against his old club, West Ham will look good.
I find it very hard to see United winning this. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised. Yeah, looking at those two teams, I fancy West Ham there. I really do.
Good for owners of Kufal, Bowen and people like that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is really good. I'm just a bit shocked, actually. I know there was a lot of reason. I think your reason was good, saying Bruno would be bench. I just didn't see it. He must just have all eyes on that midweek game. And he's almost
it's massive. That Leipzig game could, if United get embarrassed by Leipzig or even lose to Leipzig and then get embarrassed by City next weekend, two things I could see happening: City dominating United and winning 3-4-0, and United losing a tightly fought game against Leipzig. Solskjaer's job, there will be a huge amount of speculation. Like, Today's result
for
isn't
the
that
10th
important.
time.
For the 10th time, yes. But Pochettino's free. Allegri keeps saying he wants to manage in the Premier League. How long are they going to... I don't know. Look, I personally think they'll get something against Leipzig and they'll be fine, and a draw sees them through. But, you know, Ollie knows that game's huge for his career. I personally think so, for his job. I think the next 3 games... The Manchester derby, Leipzig and West Ham. West Ham is the one you should be able to afford to rotate a couple of players.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
There's a comment in the chat saying that Cavani won't play 90 minutes. I quite agree with that. I mean, can you see Cavani playing 90 minutes?
He's played a lot of... Did he play 90 in the week? And then he played... No, he came on as a sub last weekend.
He came on at half-time.
Came on at half-time and then I think he got 90 in the week. I don't know. I think he's very able to. I would expect...
Maybe. I guess that
Greenwood
means
to
then...
come off. Greenwood won't play 90. He rarely does.
So if Greenwood we think is coming off and Cavani is probably coming off, is that already Bruno and Rashford getting their minutes?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And there is no other... You know, Dan James isn't going to come on. If you're losing the game, he's not going to change much. Mata the same. These are... You look at that bench, it is Bruno and Rashford.
Is Dan James on the bench?
I
don't even think they've got him for once. No, they haven't. There's no Dan James this time.
So yeah, why Mata will
It's-
come
it's
on?
a-
But yeah.
It's a very defensive bench.
What? So it's only Mata, Rashford and Bruno? Only 3 attacking-minded players?
Yeah, only ones. Then it's Grant, Brandon Williams, Matic.
So you could bring on Matic, move Pogba forward. You could bring on Mata into the wide positions or the 10. Donny van der Beek will probably play 90. Anthony Martial will play 90, although he gets subbed a lot. So, yeah, I mean...
Yeah,
hard to predict,
Bruno
isn't
and
it?
Donny are both players you could move further up the pitch, right? Bruno, we're thinking, will be playing in the middle. He could go to 10. And Donny...
Do you mean Pogba, sorry?
Sorry, Pogba, yeah. Did I say Donny and Van der Beek?
No, you said Bruno.
Oh, I said Bruno.
Bruno on the mind, mate.
And Donny van der Beek has played as a false 9 before. Just saying. Don't know how often, but he has.
And Pep's still not
Yeah,
made a
fair.
sub.
That is a very good point. He hasn't, has he?
Loftus-Cheek coming off for Tom Kearney. Fulham have done all right the second half to keep it at 2-0.
Yeah, I'm a
I
bit
tell you what,
gutted.
Areola's a very good keeper, isn't he? He's made some very good saves today.
Yeah, looking at the stats. So in the first half, City had 75% possession, 10 shots to Fulham's 3. In the second, it's 64% possession, 6 shots to 3. So while City have still been dominant, they've basically cut their dominance by a third.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. Maybe I got carried away when I said 6 or 7. It's looking less likely, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Hey, you still take it. Goal and an assist from both the players you
FPL,
own
I'm
now, I think
happy.
is
Massive.
very good.
I mean,
I've still
That's
got
more than we
Foden.
got from KDB last week when they won 5-0. We're getting more from the 2-0 than the 5-0.
That's
for
true,
KDB.
and it's definitely more than Sterling got last week. So it's just Foden now for me. I'm just wondering if he's going to come on or not. It's getting to that point where I might prefer getting Brewster than Foden.
Yeah, do you want 5 minutes of Foden or do you want 90 of Brewster or probably 50 of Brewster?
I wouldn't expect 90 of Brewster, regardless.
No, with their 6 forwards, it's very tricky to get 90 out of any Sheffield United striker.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think I'd take Foden if he comes on before the 85th. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not that I've got any choice.
What are we thinking for overall rank then? If you don't own Bruno, you probably do want him to come on because you want him to get 20, 30 minutes and just pray he doesn't get anything because there'll be so many with the vice captain on KDB or Vardy. One thing to mention, by the way, is most squads only have 11 fit players this week in terms of FPL squads. So if Bruno doesn't play, you might not have a sub coming on and getting anything. I know Rich has Brewster, for example, but there's so many that will have 2 Villa and Wilson on the bench or 2 Villa and Mitchell. So yeah, we might see quite a few without 11 men this week.
I think, like you say, though, the captain is probably worth more than a random Basuma off the bench or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a Bruno owner. What do I want? I want him to come on. He's not my captain, and it's him or Basuma, and I fancy probably anything north of 15 minutes of Bruno than 90 minutes of Basuma.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it. A bit like we said with Rich, do you want 7 minutes of Foden or 60 of Brewster? And with Basuma, it's the same. It's like, okay, you're probably not going to get any attacking returns. You might get a clean sheet point. it's an okay fixture for
Yeah.
Brighton, isn't it? Is it Southampton?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Southampton at home.
Basuma, by the way, Seb, he's been linked with Arsenal in recent weeks. I mean,
Has he? I've not seen that.
Yeah, Arsenal have been linked with some random players in the last few weeks I've seen, including Sander Berge, who I actually really like. But Basuma was a strange one.
Do you not think maybe a lot of that is agent talk? Because we know
Probably.
they're after Hassamoir, and the guy from Salzburg, who I'm not going to try and pronounce.
Yeah.
Sly or something. I know they're after both of them. I wonder if anyone else is either just agent talk or proper backup options.
Do you know what? For my sins, I follow on social media and therefore watch quite a lot of their videos. AFTV, Arsenal Fan TV. I just find it too entertaining. And if they lose, it's like, right, I'm going to watch Arsenal Fan TV tonight. And they do this like transfer speculation, paper talk, gossip each week section, and it's something that sometimes catches my eye. And this week Basuma was featured, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Where have they got this headline from? But it's newspaper talk. But I think Basuma is an underrated footballer, and I think he's done very well this season. But we can't forget last season he was struggling to get in the Brighton 11. So yeah, it's still Basuma.
I mean, the reason I picked him, a long time ago I did Souček to him simply for the funds, because they were going to be on the bench whatever happened. I'd obviously rather have Souček today. But the reason I picked him is, he looks like getting 90. He's solid enough. He does get a little bit of threat, creates a few little things. So there's always the outside chance, but reliability really is why I went for him.
Yeah. Man City should have had a free kick then on the edge of the box. Don't know if you guys saw it. I think Jesus was brought down right in front of the ref. It looked like a banker for a free kick, which would have been probably KDB on it.
De Bruyne's still unhappy about it, isn't he?
Yeah, that would have been KDB on the free kick, right? From that position. We would have
thought so.
Him or Mahrez?
Yeah, Mahrez on his left foot possibly, because it was just to the right of the box. But yeah,
I find the no subs crazy. Like that he's not actually using a single sub.
It's that Champions League game not meaning anything. I reckon it's gonna be a different 11 in the week.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. That's a good shout. I've seen the bonus though. Sterling's on 2.
Is he still on 2? So
he's on 2, and like Seb said, he'll get the winning goal BPS as well. So it's going to be 3 for De Bruyne, 2 for Sterling, you'd imagine.
John Stones for 1, maybe.
The sub thing still surprises me though, because even if, like you say, if he literally changes all 11 in the week, then fair enough. But it's not just about fitness. I mean, if you consider this game to be sewn up, maybe he doesn't quite. But injuries. I mean, Ferran Torres for Mahrez or Sterling is probably much of a muchness.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you just make that move.
That's the thing. A lot of these players are the same kind of ability, or there's not much difference in them. So why not bring on the fresher player? It just doesn't make any sense. Just bring Foden on for 10 minutes. I'm sure he'd be happy to come on. Or like you said, Ferran.
Has he lost the right to complain about fixtures and substitutions for a little while?
100%. If he's always got a moan, isn't he? He's always got something up his sleeve.
Like I said earlier, every manager does. Like I will never blame any individual manager for complaining about something.
What do you think to his press conference etiquette, though? Reporters must hate it. He's always so close just to biting at them. It's they're just doing their job, asking the questions. He's so rude to them sometimes.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong there, and I prefer the way our manager does it. But then our manager also hates them. The reason it took Bielsa so long to sign his contract with Leeds this summer is because he was shocked by how much press he had to do, and was basically, I say trying to get out of it, that might be doing him a disservice, but he was not happy about it. Like you say, the journalists are just trying to do their job, but so are the managers, and the bit they don't want to do is the press conferences. They're there to manage the team, and it must be awful, because we see, no matter how you consume your press conferences, you probably only see 1 or 2 angles, right?
Yeah.
They're there for hours after the game. They go do the broadcast stuff immediately. So, when you see those emotional, passionate, silly things they say, that's because they've just come off a game and someone shoved the camera in their face. And then they go spend like an hour with the written press and another hour with, foreign press and Premier League and all that stuff. It must take them a couple of hours after the game to get through it all.
Yeah. We are reacting to the live action, so ignore the chat if you're looking for goals. We'll be letting you know if anyone scores. It is still Man City 2, Fulham 0. Yeah. Jesus has been quiet. We've talking about Mahrez and big chances. The 2 I like the look of for a 1-week punt were actually Jesus and Mahrez this week. I wasn't considering bringing either of them in because I was committed. But Rich, they've both been very quiet this game week. I mean, well,
They
Mahrez
have,
hasn't because of the big
apart
chances,
from the
but Jesus
yeah.
really quiet.
Yeah, I mean, he's always a bit like this. He was, I think, before we started the stream, Seb was saying about, he scores tap-ins quite a lot of the time. And they were the ones I was looking at as well, because I think they were the ones we knew would play. But the fact that I already had 3 City meant I couldn't punt on Mahrez or Jesus. And I think I would have if I was on a free hit or something, for example.
Yeah.
Because we knew they'd play. So, I mean, people who've bought them in, I think they've been quite unlucky, because they've read Pep right and they've just not got anything from it. Especially the Mahrez owners, with the couple of chances he created, and they've been missed. But
So,
I mean,
sorry, Rich, carry on.
I was just going to say I can't believe this is still 2-0. There should have been at least 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, the KDB would work again. 2 weeks on the trot for him. Seb, Pep said about Man City not being clinical enough. Despite a 2-0 win today, he'll look at some of those big chances and think we need to score more goals when we're on top. Aguero could be the answer to that. We know he's very clinical. You've spoken before about Aguero when he does return. Is he still someone on your radar?
I'd actually argue that Aguero isn't as clinical as you might think. If you just look at like the stats and XG and whatnot, his talent comes in finding space and being on the end of chances. His actual conversion rate is about average. His talent is getting more chances than everyone else. Therefore, he scores more goals. Not a bad finisher by any means, but Harry Kane is considerably better.
Yeah. Guys, quote from Solskjaer. Thank you for letting us know in the chat, Bungle. Bruno's foot has been sore since the Southampton game. Called it. The decision was easy to keep him out. Hopefully I don't have to use him tonight. Speaking to MUTV. But that's a big... That hopefully is... Hopefully we don't have to use him because we're winning the game. I'm with you guys. Like, if United are losing that football match, Bruno and Rashford, they come on, surely.
Yeah, if they're 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go, you can't keep Bruno on the bench. You can't... Man United fans would be up in arms if they bring Matic on.
Yeah. I can't believe that Bruno was the most popular captain choice this week. So it will be really interesting to see how that switches if he doesn't get any minutes. I mean, the vice captainers, many will be on KDB. There's also an argument to say, though, if you've got Bruno, there's a good chance you haven't got KDB as well, and therefore maybe more of those vice captainers are on, I don't know, a DCL or a Vardy, or even a Salah. Full time, is it, Rich? Yeah.
Yeah, just gone.
Yeah, 2-0. Scott Parker's done all right. He'll be very pleased with that in a weird way. Only losing 2-0 after beating Leicester last time out. It's not a bad run for him.
Goal difference matters in the end often. So
yeah, exactly.
For sure.
You'd be very worried after seeing what City did to Burnley last week. Seb, your thoughts from the game in terms of Man City assets moving forward? KDB is a safe bet. Who else should we be looking at?
I mean, they eased off, didn't they? I like Mahrez. I have done for a bit, but maybe now isn't the time. You want to get him before his returns. You want to try and predict those coming. People who brought him in this week following last week maybe are a bit unlucky, but also obviously they've reacted to a hat trick. If you hadn't considered him before last week, why are you only considering him now?
Yeah.
Going forward, he's still going to get rotated, but he was probably Man City's second or third best player on the pitch after De Bruyne there, Sterling up there as well. But if Mahrez had those chances converted, he probably does look like their second best player. Sterling we know, but for the price, I just don't think he interests me. I need him to not just match De Bruyne, but I need him to possibly surpass him or surpass Bruno or Salah at least to earn a place in my side. And I like the look of Cancelo, but we know he's going to get rotated. And worth noting that he's only got a clean sheet today. No bonus, no assist, no goal. Today might be the one where you hoped he got a bit more.
Yeah. Rich, what are your thoughts on Sterling long term? And Foden long term? You've got and KDB. I guess you're keeping KDB. Sterling and Foden, are you tempted to ship one, if not both of them, on in the not too distant, or are you looking at the fixtures going, I just ride in the wave?
I think KDB is an easy keep. I'm going to keep him for a while. Foden, he's gone for me. I mean, he's been benched five Premier League games in a row now. I've only kept him because I haven't had anything to move on to. But I think I'm looking at a few options to replace Foden. And then Sterling. So I like what Seb said there, and it makes me wonder. I mean, part of the reason I've always been happy owning Sterling and paying that premium price for him is because he's been nailed. And there is that bit of doubt still. I mean, he's not missed as many games as I think we're making out. He missed a game after he was injured. After he didn't go on
Tottenham.
England duty and
Yeah.
then missed a game, and then he got rotated for a game, and now he's playing again. So I mean, maybe he is nailed, but there is that part of me that it's a lot of money. He has to play for that price to be worthwhile, and I'm going to struggle this week, whether I go Son or I go Sterling to Salah, because both of them are going to involve removing a player. But Sterling to Salah is a lot easier than Son to Salah.
Yeah.
So,
Who would you want back sooner?
I think that's the thing. I'd want Sterling almost immediately back because they've got that West Brom game. But obviously we mentioned all that rotation earlier as well. So would I captain him? Possibly not. And then Son's got nice fixtures over Christmas, but I prefer Kane because he's got penalties, and I don't know if I want 2 spares, even though I have 2 spares at the moment. So
sounds like Son to me. It's not an easy decision,
Yeah,
but it sounds like Son.
what, removing Son?
Yeah,
No, I mean that would be my preference. I think I'm quite happy with Sterling. If he doesn't, as long as he doesn't get rotated again in the next couple of Premier League games, I'll be happy I kept him if I do.
Sterling's an easier move to anyone else as well. If you hate Sterling in a week, if he gets injured, whatever, there are very few players you can't get with the funds.
Exactly. The annoying thing with him though is when he got benched last week. Obviously, I'm angry he got benched, but then you kind of have to keep him because he becomes a better asset for the next week in theory.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not worked for Foden at all. But
I think Foden and Sterling are very different. Sterling is you'd say first choice provided he's playing. Foden is basically clearly the same as last season. He'll play a few more. Yeah.
I think Varane's probably a better pick than Foden now for not much more. I think he's 0.4 more.
6.9, yeah. I think.
Actually, I wonder if with Ferran Torres coming in and probably doing better than anyone thought he would, I wonder if that has taken some minutes that Foden would otherwise have got, because we know Foden probably isn't going to get much time in the middle. Eventually, he might replace De Bruyne, but he isn't that replacement for Silva. Guardiola said as much over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
He plays wide as much as he plays anywhere else. And with Ferran Torres taking that slot, I wonder if he's lost some of the minutes he would have got.
I think he has in the front three. If we look at Foden this season, he's played every time he's played this season. He's been in one of those front three positions until midweek, 3-4 days ago in the Champions League. KDB didn't play, and Foden, I think, played the KDB role. But if KDB is on the pitch, which we've got to think in the Premier League he always will be, then Foden might really struggle because he's got more competition than ever before, potentially in those front three. Because in the past, yes, he's had Sane and Sterling and Mahrez, but Sane was injured a lot. Now with Torres there and doing so well, I don't think Pep thought or necessarily expected Torres to hit the ground running perhaps like he has, and he's getting a lot of minutes. This is a kid. Torres is the same age as Foden, and he's bloody good. And he's scoring goals both for Spain and City. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with Sterling this season in terms of minutes. But as an FPL asset, you could get Jota at the same price, who's going to start 3 in every 4 Liverpool games. It's a no-brainer for me. Guys in the chat, thank you for being so interactive today. Loads of you have mentioned you've got Bruno. Apologies if you do. Hopefully your vice captain's on someone good if he doesn't feature, and fingers crossed for you that he doesn't come on and get 10 minutes and 1 point, although secretly I kind of hope he does.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Someone's mentioned in the chat, loads in his mini league have got Bruno captain, DCL vice captain. That's nice knowing DC. Well, it's okay knowing DCL got 6.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of matches still to play, but only 6 from your captain. That's pretty much the minimum you'd accept, right?
I think that's always the minimum in my head. I see 5 as a fail and 6 as a return. What do you reckon?
You want double points.
Yeah.
Once the captain has been applied, you want not double points, double digits.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Rich? What's your benchmark for a return in captaincy?
I always like to obviously get 8 or 9. 6 does feel a bit underwhelming, but it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because when your midfielder blanks and they get 3 points, that feels bad. But it's only 3 points less than the 6. So yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one. I mean, I'm always happy if I get over 10 points, I'm happy. Everything else is a bit meh. It depends how other options have done, really, doesn't it?
So we're happy today with KDB. Just confirming bonus points from today's game. KDB, I mean, it could always change, but it's looking very likely KDB gets 3, Sterling gets 2, and then Stones looking the most likely to get 1, although Mahrez and Cancelo both in contention for that. But it looks like 3 to De Bruyne, 2 to Sterling, 1 to Stones, which would be
After
nice.
That Stones back pass.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious if that had gone in, and he would have been dropped for some time, no doubt. So De Bruyne points. I'm just doing the checking my team. I'm guessing it's what, fifth, fourth.
So De Bruyne is on 14 and Sterling's
14.
on 13.
I think De Bruyne might get 15.
No, he's got so with 3 bonus he get 14
Oh no,
points.
14. Sorry,
Doubled to 28. Yeah, and then Sterling's on 13. So De Bruyne got 1 point more than Sterling.
Yeah, nice. We'll take that. Guys in the chat, thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back next week. Rich and Seb will be joining us hopefully throughout the festive season, so you can catch us all. Do check us all out on Twitter if you're on Twitter. And do please like this video. If you like it, we get more people watching. And do write in the comments any sort of feedback. Always good to know. And do check out the Fantasy Football Scout members area as well. All the stats we referred to in the show are from there. It's like 20 quid a year. It's a no-brainer. But yeah, we will see you again next week. Check out our social media we'll let you know what game we're doing. But thank you for watching and enjoy the West Ham United game. See you later.
Bye. See you later.